Good evening and welcome to the Willington Board of Education meeting. It is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. We are calling the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. And we invite you to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. To begin.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a pretty lengthy agenda this evening, so I will.
Before you
Sorry.
continue, I unfortunately would like to add to it. I'm going to make a motion that we add item 5. There's a reason for that. To add item 5 as a conversation with representative of UCO, who is here.
That a motion?
That is my.
Oh,
second, sorry. Brain is not there yet.
Okay, discussion.
I spoke with representative UCO previously. And there's some things that she just wants to explain to us before we get to the 4th. That we have all our information before we get to that meeting.
Okay, so you would put that at.
5, and there's a reason.
Are you doing it after 4 or after 5?
I'm gonna do it after, I'll do it after 4, but I have something else to go. So. I'm just gonna do two separate motions, that's why.
Okay, so you wanna do like a 4B?
No, because you can't do it off of that, so I would make it
A new 5.
a new 5,
Push all the numbers down.
push everything down.
Okay.
Right. But it'll end up being, honestly, it'll end up being. No, it won't end up being different. That's what, so,
New 5.
new 5.
Okay, does anybody have any discussion questions about that? Thank you for coming. Okay, if you are in favor of adjusting our agenda as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, okay, we'll be adding that to the agenda.
I have a second motion.
Okay,
I'd like to move the existing, I motion to move the existing present to speak to item 4. To before the executive session.
Second.
My reasoning for that is we don't know how long this executive session is, 1, and 2. We have a very lengthy agenda and there are people here in the room and there are people online, and I don't feel good about holding anybody up who might want to speak, because this might be a possibility. This is a long meeting, long executive session, long everything, so people might not even be on for the second. So right after your chairperson's report, basically.
Second.
Well, second, sorry.
There you go.
No, we did? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was on the ball this time.
I was like,
okay. so
Discussion?
So I guess technically the Tammy thing would become 6, basically, and then everything else would go down from there, because the executive session will become 5. Tammy's discussion would be 6, and then everything following goes down,
What,
sorry.
for,
So I'm basically moving to make present to speak the new 4,
okay,
and the executive session will be 5, so what we just motioned would end up being 6, yeah. Sorry, I should have done it in a different order.
it's okay. Okay, does anyone have any?
This is clarification, we're gonna have a present speak in a few minutes, or we're gonna have one at 4 and then one at the end.
We're still gonna have to
About
one at the
whether
end.
moving.
I'm just moving it before our executive session, that's all.
yeah, he's basically making it go chairperson report,
Present to speak.
president to speak,
Executive session.
executive session,
and then everything.
Tammy,
And everything else.
and then it goes communications.
Right.
Yeah. He's just basically moves an item after chairperson report to president speak, so that would disappear. And then after this would be Tammy. Does that make sense?
It just makes me feel like I'm looking representatives, you have sit here for maybe a long time.
It's possible, I could have moved to better report too, but I mean,
Should we?
I guess we still can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
That was why I'm-
Appreciate that.
Alright, so then I'll modify, that's a good point, I'll modify. And change the agenda around to reflect chairperson's report is 3, present to speak is 4. Discussion of Representative Nucio is 5, and potential executive session as 6, and everything else going down from there.
Do you have to second that change?
Yep.
Second,
That makes
that's my own concern also, so.
Yes, that's good.
Restate that.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm just almost make my first motion though, but I'm moving that we modify the agenda to reflect. Number 3, chairperson's report, number 4, present to speak, number 5, conversation with Representative Nucio, number 6, potential executive session, and all other items move down a number from there.
Do we have to do anything because we've already voted on moving the first one?
Technically, I'm still audit.
Yeah, I did second.
Okay, well, we're restating, so I just wanna make sure that's.
I'll second.
You second. Okay. All right, what he said.
Apologies.
It's okay. If you are on this board and you are in favor of said changes to our agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass that unanimously. Okay, so for those of you joining us, we are on agenda item 3, which is chairperson report, and as you just heard, we have a whole lot going on this evening, so I'm gonna go ahead and defer that, and I'll be able to use my board comment at the end instead. Thank you. Okay, so item 4 is now present to speak. If you are here to share your thoughts with the board, you can raise your hand in person or online. Please make sure to state your name and your address. You have 5 minutes, and I will give you a little heads up before your 5 minutes is completed.
Should be set to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Coates, go ahead.
Hello, Jamie Koprek, 79 Common Road. I saw a quote recently that said, "It's crazy how people need no proof to believe a lie, but even with endless proof, they will not accept the truth. This is especially true when someone uses influence of their position to discourage questioning of statements that are demonstrably false. Like, I've already answered all your questions. If that were true, I wouldn't be here for the 3rd month in a row trying to get answers to my original questions. It has now been 131 days since I submitted a FERPA request that still hasn't been fulfilled. No one will say whether the documents don't exist, can't be found, or simply won't be given to me. Unironically, the missing documents would either validate or disprove the very referrals that are in question. It has been nearly 13 weeks since my husband and I met with the superintendent about serious inaccuracies in our child behavior referrals, many written by a staff member who shared private details about our son, including his safety plan. I provided timelines and proof that these referrals were inaccurate, in some cases even impossible, like one dated on a Sunday. If the others are true, as Mr. Stevens claims, then they show something worse. An employee blatantly disregarding an active safety plan and forcing contact with a child she was restricted from supervising. Rather than conduct a meaningful investigation, the solution presented to us was for them to change a few words in a drop-down menu of the form, as if that fixed this problem of integrity. After I raised concerns about this staff member is when this troubling pattern began. More than half of my child's behavior referrals for the year were issued in just a 23-day period. That is more referrals in 23 consecutive days than the other 159 school days combined. The last 2, backdated for December 8th and 9th, were entered on December 10th. The same day, our advocate introduced herself to the school, and voila, it never happened again. Most of the referrals listed in this short time were backdated, many were heavily exaggerated, and some impossible because our son was not even at school. I was told these referrals don't matter and don't go anywhere, as if it makes it acceptable to fabricate or exaggerate records without oversight. Instead of addressing the staff conduct that created this problem, Mr. Stevens' concern has been centered around building this narrative about what actions I could take, treating me as a problem instead of addressing the actual wrongdoing. Since May, I've sent the same reasonable follow-up questions, June 22nd, July 8th, and July 16th, and I've received no real answers. I've also identified multiple violations of board education policies that have gone unaddressed. What good is having policies when no one's going to enforce them? The public deserves to know this has escalated. A closed-door meeting took place between Phil, the board attorney, and board chair. I then received a letter from the attorney written as if it came from the entire board, despite the six of the board members not being there. This letter misrepresented reality by labeling me a potential litigant and telling me I was no longer allowed to speak to the board, the superintendent, or the staff. This false pretense undermines the core constitutional right of any taxpayer to petition their government and address grievances. My rights don't disappear because someone doesn't like my questions and my persistence. And yet this is where our tax dollars are going, to pay an attorney to attempt to intimidate parents instead of just answering the questions for free. In that same letter, the attorney told me she would be my only point of contact. When I asked her to respond to my email to the superintendent, which contained no legal threats, she replied, "I do not believe any further response is necessary at this time." In other words, you can only talk to me, but I won't talk to you. Now I see this matter on tonight's agenda for executive session under potential litigation. Before you go into that session, please recognize this. Every effort has been made to keep you from hearing my side and seeing the full scope. I hope that even just one of you asks why this is. Ask why you were told and why I was told that Mr. Stevens answered all my questions when he did not. Why would I choose to spend my own money to litigate against the district and in turn cost the town money when then there are multiple state and federal agencies that provide oversight for free? These processes exist precisely to do this so parents and taxpayers don't have to go to court for accountability. And for the record, any guardian watching this, filing a complaint with them is not a legal threat. It's a lawful and protected right designed to resolve issues without going to court. Labeling me a potential litigant to withhold information from the board makes no sense. This board is Mr. Stevens' employer, not the other way around. You are the body that exists to address and prevent litigation. You are elected to be the voice of your constituents, not for them.
Excuse me, Jamie, I'm sorry. Could you just?
Yep.
Thank you.
Keeping you in the dark only guarantees zero accountability and problems that continue. This process has set a dangerous precedent and is telling every student, parent, teacher, and community member that concerns will be met with closed doors, intimidation, and silence. Good people can make mistakes, but mostly being good doesn't excuse. Thank you for at least giving me these silence.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Hi, go ahead.
Just wanted to give you guys a few, PTA updates. I didn't request to be on the agenda, quick enough, but, just wanted to go over a few things. We do have our ice cream social coming up on September 5th. It's a Friday, from 6 to 7:30. Everybody in the community, is welcome. We will be doing like we did last year. We'll have hundreds of different toppings. We'll make sure that the ice cream is pulled out of the freezer, well in advance, seeing how our volunteers had to really struggle to get it out. So we'll make sure that happens. But we're really looking forward to that fun event for the children. September 16th, we're gonna have our quarterly meeting. Our PTA board decided that we're gonna do quarterly meetings because the monthly meetings were just too much for parents. So, we're gonna bribe with food, pizza, of course, but we're also talking to the Leo Club to coordinate childcare as well, so that we can get some more parents involved. And we're also going to have Zoom as well, so for those meetings. So those will be quarterly this year, so we're gonna try out something new. We have lots of new fun events coming up for this year. Just to give a couple of spoilers, we're gonna do a Hollywood red carpet evening dance. We're gonna do a bingo night. We have another glow party, seeing how that was such a success last year. So lots of fun, different, we like to mix it up. But we had that. And then I just kind of wanted to go over quickly what we did last year. With our top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fundraisers, we raised over $15,000. That's just 5 of them, and we usually have one almost every single month. So we had the Coin Wars, raised 2,000, Holiday Shop raised 1,000, Election Day. These are not exact numbers, but the exact numbers are on the sheet, which I posted via email and on Facebook. Election Day bake sale was close to $2,000. Our Lyman Pies was almost $3,500, and our silent auction was almost $7,500. 500 for those are profits as well, not just that counts income and our expenses. And then where these funds goes, we put all of it back to our students and teachers. Field trips was $4,000, scholarships was $2,000, inflatable fund, we had a lot of inflatable fund this year. 2,800, teacher wish list and school enrichments was $2,000, staff appreciation was 1,500, student appreciation was 1,700, and assemblies was 1,200. So just wanted to thank you guys so much, such a small community, and just your support and just bringing your kids out and getting, partnering with us is just so important. Thanks so much. Extra yearbooks, you have 5 yearbooks, I think 5 to 8 yearbooks, so if somebody didn't get a yearbook, this is the yearbook. I'm really proud of the 4th graders for designing the front and back cover here. Really thick this year. Really amazing work in here. So I think we have like 5 to 8. So if one of your kids didn't get one, we do have a couple extras. And thank you to Julie Shari for fitting that into her schedule. She will be missed so much at center. And then last but not least, we wanted to just welcome Amanda Knight as our new secretary. She's going to bring so many great aspects to the PTA. So thank you guys so much for your time, and we look forward to a great year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, anyone else in the room for present to speak? Okay, then we'll go online, Mr. McCoo.
Good evening, Mike McCoo, Clover Springs Drive. Briefly tonight, as I said last week, I'm very excited about all the new information coming out, including the support seemingly from across the town and various departments and political parties in town. And I'm excited to see that Tammy Nuccio is here. Again, that is an epitome of the support we're getting. I appreciate the work she's doing for our town, and I look forward to hearing whatever update it is she has for us and seeing where we go next with all of these processes. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, anyone else online or here in person? None? Okay. We will of course have a second present to speak towards the end of our meeting tonight, so you'll have another opportunity if you would like to do so. Okay, for those of you just joining us, we have adjusted our agenda slightly. That was agenda item 4, present to speak. The current item 5 is a conversation with Representative Mitchell, who's made some time to come and see us and talk to us about what is going on with this, all the work that we've been doing for our reimbursement for our school building. So thanks for making time to come. We're very excited about all of the work we've been doing and super thankful. What was it that you wanted to share with us tonight ahead of our meeting that's coming up in a few weeks here?
So thank you guys for letting me come. Thank you for having me. And I wanted to come and talk to you guys for a couple of reasons. One, to kind of a little bit before the September meeting, kind of go over for everybody, the process that we undertook to try to get the increased rate. I wanted to talk about the actual piece of legislation that has the increased rate in it. And I wanted to kind of address some of the things that we talked about in our meeting that we had that not everybody was at a little over a year ago. So probably a little over a year ago, we had a tour. I had been talking to people, chairs and ranking members of the education committee, and having a lot of conversations with DAS about trying to get an increased reimbursement rate for Willington. So we did a tour of the schools, and we had the ranking member of education come down, and Brianna, you were there, Tracy, you were there, Phil, Pete Tanaka was there, Art was there. And we kind of just showed everybody that was present in that, the condition of the schools, what we were trying to do. We talked a lot about the issues that Willington had with trying to pass the last school project. And I don't think it's news to anybody in here. It was very contentious. It had a very high turnout. It just didn't go well. And one of the things that we really talked about is how we're going to bring this forward to the community. And how we really kind of have to work together to get something done. And I feel like, that meeting in September is going to be the start of that, to kind of present to the town, the reimbursement rate. And, it'll be hopefully the start of you guys getting your school building committee and everything else. So I just thought it was kind of important to kind of level set where we started. I'm gonna take you kind of a little bit through what I did, what I've been working on, and just some concerns. So through legislative session, I was really fortunate to work with DAS, and they pointed out some prior legislation that kind of had the language that I wanted. Like there were a couple of things that I wanted to make sure that we had, because I feel like it is imperative for Willington to have the most amount of people engaged and deciding on how the school goes forward. So it is not contentious like it was last time. So it is not a constant fight on social media in all your meetings, right? I want this to be like the thing the community is working towards. And one piece of that legislation, which was very key, was the time extension. I know last time there was a lot of concern about, nobody knew what the actual reimbursement rate was going to be. It was a big point of contention, and I get it, right? You're talking tens of millions of dollars. There's a lot of uncertainty with that. So locking down the rate, and the second piece of it for me was really giving us kind of special privilege in saying we are going to we're gonna get a guaranteed rate, we're gonna develop a project, and we're gonna have all of that before we go to referendum. So typically you would have to go to referendum for the full cost of the project, and then you submit your project and you would get a reimbursement rate. And that's where a lot of that gray murkiness and uncertainty was. So I kind of wanted to flip that. I wanted the guaranteed reimbursement rate, and I wanted to be able to go to the town with the options, lock that down, right? Here's what we know it's gonna cost, here are your options. And after that, then go forward with the rest of the process. We would have up to, originally it was supposed to be 18 months, but it would be like up to 18 months to decide on the actual, like what it was gonna be and which one we decided on. It was kind of a reversing of the project. We didn't have to have a project first. We have the rate, we had the time to decide what it was gonna be. And there was a lot of negotiation, a lot of work, a lot of arguing back and forth, a lot of doing this stuff to try to get that information. What actually ended up getting passed was a little different, but not. So if you read the actual piece of legislation, what it did was guaranteed us a piece of reimbursement that wasn't guaranteed because we didn't have legislation in it. And there were a lot of meetings. Phil was at all of these meetings. First Selectman Tanaka was at a lot of these meetings to establish the 79.64%. And just to kind of walk you through that, and this is something that I think is very imperative for you guys to understand. We presented to DAS two of your projects plans. One was the build as new, and one was adding on to Hall. And the very key piece of that was it was gonna cost us more money to add on to Hall than it would be to build a new school, right? So we kind of had to have the two plans to show that. And what that does, and which is not accounted for in the presentation that you gave the board before, is that gives us an equal reimbursement rate with a add-on, right? So that takes us from new at 54.64% to adding 10% on that to 64, right? Because it's cheaper for me to build a new school than it is for me to add on to another school, right? So we got a 10% bump in doing that. And then there was the 15% conversation around the preschool pieces. We weren't guaranteed that that legislation was gonna pass. We weren't sure how it was gonna affect us because we already had existing preschool here. You're not offering new preschool, we already had it. And I wanted the guarantee that I was gonna get that 15%, regardless of how the legislation passed. And I had a lot of concern around the actual date of implementation for that. Because we can pass legislation and say, but it's not effect for 2 years. And then if you had submitted a plan for your school and it wasn't effect, you wouldn't have gotten 15%, right? So I wanted it lock, stock, and barrel. I want the total amount, I want guarantee that I'm getting this 79.64%, period. It was literally the day the bill was coming on the floor that my leader was in talking to Matt Ritter, and we were going back and forth on, what it was gonna look like. And the language that we got had the guaranteed 15%, and it also had the extension 2 years. To 2027, basically, to have all of the plans and everything, and to have a plan that was approved by DAS for us to move forward with. I hope it doesn't take us that long, but if we need to, we have that. I have had, I'm just gonna be very frank with you guys, because that's just who I am and it's how I go, and you all know that. I've had a lot of people reach out to me with concerns about, conversation that we're gonna get 100%, we're gonna get 105%, we're gonna get more than that, that the architect knows, and I'm just a legislator and blah, 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 across the board. I'm here to tell you there's two things that concern me about that. One, we're not gonna get 100%. We're not gonna get 105%. We're not. I don't care which math you're doing. I'm the legislator. I literally wrote the legislation. My concern with it is if stuff gets back to DAS about that, that Willington automatically assumes now it's gonna get, 95, 100% reimbursement. This legislation can be repealed until we actually have a plan in and approved. It is special legislation in the school building committee, right? I don't want them to think we're getting greedy. We have a guaranteed 79.64%. Now, what I will say to you here, and I will say at that other meeting, I do get another bite at this apple. Because all these school appropriation bills have to come back before appropriations. We're the ones who actually, in the end, say, yes, we're moving forward with this percent, it's X amount of dollars, here you go, right? At that point, I'm the ranking member of appropriations. I'm literally the person that they're bringing it to. Me, Kathy Austin, Tony Walker, and Heather Summers, right? We are the ones that are on the school board commission looking at those rates. And in the past, I have been very supportive of Kathy Austin and other towns, looking at higher reimbursement rate. This is not to say that at some point, Willington might be able to get more. I have a second bite at that apple, but we cannot go out to the town and say that it's gonna happen, right? What we know right now is Willington has 79.64%. Regardless of which project they go with. And that's more than we knew last time this came around, right? I think it's very important that the town has that stability to know that if you put forward a project that's, $20 million, which it's not, but if it was, right? Like that we would only have to pay maximum 4 million of that, right? Now, if this comes forward to me after a plan is put in and I can get help at the appropriations level to go up more, I will. And I will use every opportunity that I have. But this cannot be something that is out in the community that will cause contention or, oh, if it was this, if it was that, like across the board. I think it is so key that we come forward as a united front to say, we know what the reimbursement rate is. We know how long we have to develop this plan and let the town decide what they want to do with that. That kind of brings me to my second thing. Going forward, what I plan on talking about in September is, oh, actually, before I go there, I know you had shown me, I had seen like the plans that you guys had for putting a new school on the Hall site, right? And it was actually less expensive than the new school before, which I think is good, but I want to put out there. The key, like I said in the beginning, one of the keys to this is that it's cheaper to build new than it is to add on. If we start messing around with the plans that we already presented to DAS too much, and you play with those levers, I could argue that, we were guaranteed the 79.64%, but we can't, I don't think you guys should take the option off of adding on to Hall, because that's our high point, right? The state knows the high point of this project and the high point of that, of the build new, right? The one that you guys had on your, I think, presentation was actually cheaper, which would be great because it's less, but the state already knows what they're in for. They're in for a penny, they're in for a pound, right? They know your two projects, the max dollar amounts of those. So if we come back with something that's, significantly higher to build new, that brings it in line with the add-on. Now we're in a pickle, right? Because here were the two that we looked at, and, we don't want to mess with that high point, right? We want to make sure anything that we're doing is underneath that high point. So I forgot about that. I'm glad I got that plan. In the meeting in September, Willington is Willington's own entity. I don't live in Willington. I am your representative. I represent you in Hartford. I am your voice in Hartford. I will fight like hell for you guys. I always will. But I can't make this decision for you guys. But I can give you what I think as your state rep, reading what I see in town, that what I think would be the best option. And I really think, from my perspective, what I think would be best for you guys is to bring forward to the town the two options and a third as no, right? If you say, Here's how much it would cost to build on to Hall. Here are the plans. Here's what we want. This is how much money at the 79.64 it would cost you. Here's the build as new. Here's the plan with that. Here's how much money that would cost you. Let the town decide which way they want to go. That's what I built into this legislation for you, is the ability to have that time to really let this be a town decision on what Willington is willing to support. And if you put through option A, option B, or no, right? You'll get the feel of what the town wants overall. My true fear is if you decide to just put forward one option, it's easy to vote no. I don't like that option. I'm voting no. You know, it's easy to have people fight about, well, I don't think you should do that. I think you should do this. But if you put forward both of the options and a no, then people get to decide which one they think is best for the town. You're gonna have more buy-in. You're gonna have more people who are truly engaged on the differences between these and picking which one they feel is the right direction for Willington. Again, I can't make that decision for you. I can just tell you as your state rep, from what I've had conversations with people, with what I see on social media, with, you know, when people stop me and talk to me and the problems with the last go round, I think this is a good option for you guys. And that's ultimately, that is what I want for you guys, right? I want the most buy-in from the town. I want you guys to decide as Willington, what is the best step forward? And having those options, I think, would be the best way for people to kind of really feel like they're being heard and they decide which one they think is best. And then the last thing I had, what we did in Tolland when we got Birch Grove, in terms of school board committee. Again, thinking of how do we bring this forward in a way where we get the most community buy-in, where we have the least amount of contention, and where we can truly just focus on the best needs for the town. We had an interview panel. We had one Democrat, one Republican, and one person from the town who handled the projects. Then they put out an application process to everybody in the town. There were very few positions that were locked in. One was you had a Board of Ed liaison. One was you had, for us, it was town council. For you guys, I would think you would need Board of Finance and First Selectmen. We would have one representative from each of those boards on it. Some of the others were, you had to have one person on the board that was a parent of a student in the schools. You had to have one teacher, either current or retired. You had to have two people who were in commercial real estate. You had to have at least one person that did landscaping. If you think about school building, like you wanted a pretty rounded group of people that were determining this, and they were all just town residents. They were not elected officials. They were not the first selectman. They were not the superintendent. They were residents. They were just residents who were trying to move forward the best building project possible. Because you have a Democrat, Republican, and a town person, they interviewed everybody and then they unanimously decided who the 11 people were going to be who were on the board, right? It's inclusivity. It's bringing it to the town. It is having the residents do it. And we had buy-in across the board. So everybody had a voice. And that's kind of like, you know, when we had talked at that meeting that we all had, you know, I had said my concern was just how does this get received by Willington? And how do we work together to make this the best process for the town and have the most amount of people with the most buy-in? And again, I don't live here. I can't vote for this project. I can't tell you guys what to do. I'm just saying, you know, in my opinion, when we have this meeting in September, we want to be as united as we can and make sure we have enough options that everybody has some sort of buy-in into it. So that would be my suggestion. That'd be kind of how I would handle it. Happy to answer any questions about the reimbursement, you know, and again, you know, that's what I've received a lot of phone calls about is conversations that have been had about, oh no, we can get higher or this and that. Please, let's not do that. I don't want them to repeal this. We have 79.64% guaranteed. Let me take another swing at it when it gets to me, but for the town's right now, they will know they can go to sleep at night knowing exactly how much this new school or this add-on is gonna cost them at 79.64%. And if I can get something higher, Merry Christmas. Open the stockings, but for now, I think we need to be very united on this is what it is and move forward. So, any questions? Anything?
I have a question. It's my understanding that this reimbursement rate is based off of what the state is telling us is our allotted amount of square footage, which is around like 60,000 square feet or so. When they had originally done the ed specs, they narrowed it down to, I think, like 72K because of our population and having a gym and having a cafeteria and all those larger square footage spaces that qualified us potentially for a space waiver at that time that we were looking at. Do you think that that is going to cause any, because we were gonna go over the ed specs again with this new group of people on this board now, because like I didn't go over it last time, it was a different group of people. Do you think that that's going to muddy the waters at all, or do you think that do you understand what I'm trying to?
Oh, I totally understand
about that?
Yep.
Because I'm sure people are gonna be like, what about the space waiver and you know what I mean? But now it's like more potential numbers,
So I feel like space waivers are kind of common, not really,
Okay.
but kind of common, like it's not something that's unheard of. And if that's the direction that the town goes forward with, I'll fight for it, I'll see what I can do, right? It did not make it into the final legislation. It was in my initial legislation, but the last minute rewrite, it got taken out. So, if we have to do that, we're gonna have to show why we need to do that. And there are some, like what you said, there are some common points. I think we obviously want a school with a gymnasium, even if it's like what we have at Birch Grove, which is a gym / cafeteria / auditorium, gymatorium, area, I don't know. But it's like one, and they have a divider through it. So there may have to be some showing on our part that we're doing everything that we can, but we know we need science rooms for middle school kids, right? That's not typically in a combined K-8, so I think we can make the argument for it, and I will gladly, help get that through if that's where we're at, when we get there.
I just didn't know how to, present it to people and maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, because I know the September meetings, those 7th, 8th, 4th. Third time's the charm with that. On top
After
of
Labor Day.
on top of it. I guess it depends on how we go about when we're gonna talk about the ed specs or whatever. There's so much stuff to do, so I'm just
Yeah.
thinking in my head, it's like people are gonna be like, what about this? You know what I mean?
I see,
We're
I'm-
like, it's 79.64.
I'm trying to think back to Tollins, because I was liaison for the town council for that for a while, when I was still on the town council. And I think all of that came much after,
Okay.
right?
I might be
Because
getting
you
caught
have
in
the
weeds.
basic project, you have to get all of that approved. In our case, we're gonna have to go through, decide what the project is and all of that, secure the funding and everything. And I don't know when the ed specs kind of fell into that whole process. And the space waiver comes after the ed specs kind of a thing, but I don't know that you're gonna have ed specs before
Yeah.
the,
Part of my concern is, and I know that there's gonna be different numbers, and I know we can't say a hard and fast number because 24 months is a long time. I mean, the market's gonna change. It hasn't even gone out to bid yet. These are all speculative numbers of adding certain percentages onto whatever we think labor is gonna be, whatever we think the material is gonna be, whatever, you know what I mean? We don't really know. But I know, me in my head, I'm just trying to think through what were all the points of contention last time. I think there was a feeling of a lack of transparency for the numbers and for people to have a good educated vote to be like, yeah, this is what. And that's why, I do appreciate you getting us that hard and fast number, but it feels a little convoluted because the numbers that we're presenting are not based off of our current ed specs. They're based off of a generic wish from the state that does not fit our town. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I know
All
what
of
you're
these
saying.
numbers are based off of 60K, which is what they're giving us, but wasn't realistic for what we needed. So I don't want that to look disingenuous
No, I
a
understand.
couple months down the road. I don't know how to prevent that, but I just wanted to say it out loud to be like, hey, you know, we are talking about this, but we're not really sure because we still have to go over the ed specs again, and maybe we can make a turducken out of an auditorium cafeteria thing, and who knows how many people are watching this, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
verbalize that out loud to be
I
like, these aren't
absolutely-
like
yep.
the finalized things, you know what I mean?
that's fluid, I understand.
Yeah.
So, I'm here to fight for whatever is decided on, right? Whatever is decided on for the project, and that if we need a space waiver, if that's what the town needs, then, I'll do what I can. I don't think it's gonna be nearly as hard as securing a reimbursement rate in 2 years' time to secure funding. So I think it's gonna be easier than what I just did. So, whatever the town decides, then we go forward with that.
Okay. Appreciate you, thank you.
No problem.
I think that, we are trying to be very clear with our, community and do our best to, make sure that confusion doesn't happen
Yeah.
as much as we can. But like Sam asking a question about the waiver and thinking about the ed specs, because we went through this recently, people know the steps and the things that will come, so there might be questions before when we get to that point, just because they know what's coming. We've been through it, we know. So there will be a little bit of like bounce back and forth, bouncing forth, which makes the keeping everything clear and not confusing part even harder, but we'll just keep asking the same question.
It's okay. It's okay. If we know something, which I don't think we will right now, but if we know something before I go back in a session in February, I start working it when you guys give it to me, right? So when we get to that point, that's when I start working my side of it, right? So I am always open for any questions, whatever, whatever you guys need me to do to get whichever project it is that is decided on, through. And again, in the way that we can get the most amount of community support for and buy-in for is what I'm here for.
Okay, just to review your main points, Tammy. You, want us to stick with the 79.64%. And we need DAS to know that that's what they have agreed to, and that's what we are looking forward to. You recommended focusing on the 2 projects rather than the 3 that Rusty presented us the last time. That would be new building on new site or addition and renovation of Hall School on the Hall site. The elimination would be the one of building new on Hall's property.
I think you can keep that one, but I think you should only have 2, like, rather than, decide if you.
Did you say that the other 2 were the ones that you talked to DAS about?
They're the ones that we talked to, but the one that you're talking about building on Hall is actually cheaper than the build on new.
Okay,
If I look at those numbers, if I looked at those numbers correctly, you're adding on to Hall, which are highest. And then your build on a new site one was the one that they saw, which gave us the extra 10 bump, et cetera, et cetera. But the new one that you have building onto Hall, I think was cheaper than building on a new site. So if you guys decide to go forward with that one as your second option, it's less money. I am never gonna have a hard time selling the state of Connecticut on less money. But I would have an easier time selling a higher percentage on less money because it's less money.
okay,
But-
so you said pick 2
Pick 2,
out of our 3,
just don't go
then-
higher, don't go cost higher.
right? Okay, and then no option is something you recommended to help our community feel involved. Got that. And then the space waiver question was sort of understand has to be on hold for a little bit, and we're going forward with this ed stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So on the 4th, we are meeting at, is that being held, Bill, at the Hall Library? And do you know the time of that? Don't remember, probably 6:30 or 7. We'll try to find that out before the end of our meeting. so that the folks from town can ask their questions and better understand what you've been doing for us and, how we're going to proceed.
Yeah, I think that's great. You know, I think again, the more people we can get there, the more people that can understand. You know, it addresses a lot of the issues that people had in the past. It's a guaranteed reimbursement rate. It is, you know, more community involvement. It is, if your school board, if you do something that has more people in it and that you, and it's giving people the options. Here's what we have. How does Willington want to move forward, right? So I think the information, get it to people, start that process, and let's move forward. Let's do something with schools.
That sounds like a good idea.
And let me swing it the pinata again when it comes back, you know, but you know, if we can do more, then we will.
Okay.
Is that gonna be an in-person only meeting? Do we know yet? No, it can be hybrid too.
Yeah.
Cool.
And thank you for being a point person that people feel comfortable coming to and talking to about all of these things. You are a very busy lady and must have like 400 phones on your head all the time. If you hear of some concerns or confusion that keeps coming up, do you think you could let us know so that we can make sure to address it during our meetings also and keep the facts clear?
Absolutely,
That would be really helpful.
absolutely. Yep, and I keep telling people when they come to me, there's gonna be a meeting, we'll talk about it then, you know, you guys have a guaranteed almost 80% reimbursement, that's what you need to know. You know, like, I'm telling people the same exact thing that I
Yes,
just
I'm
told you
sure.
guys, you know, so. Consistent messaging across the board, but absolutely, I will let you know. I have Art's number. I have anybody else's number, but you know, send me your numbers and I'll let you know.
All right, awesome. That would be very helpful too. All right. Then, good. Thank you. Thank you so much for making time.
No
Everybody.
problem. No problem. And you guys all should have my contact info, and if not, Art, feel free to share it. So anybody can reach out to me, text me, call me. But your number's not in my book, I'll call it. All right, have a good night.
Okay, awesome. So we'll hopefully see lots of people on the board to continue that conversation and move forward. Okay, we are on new agenda item 6, which is potential executive session regarding potential litigation. We have Attorney Cheney with us tonight. To talk to us about what happens or the procedure for such things in the event that we would need that every on our term here as board. So you need, we need a motion and a second for that.
Enter executive session,
Second.
For the purpose of
potential litigation.
potential litigation, education, yeah.
Do you want to who we're inviting to, the attorney and Phil?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All right, anybody have a question? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Everyone, okay. So we will be entering executive session at, say, 7:50. Let's give us a minute to log out. And when we return, we'll state the time and resume our meeting. Hello, welcome back. We are exiting the executive session of our meeting this evening at 8:35 p.m. and proceeding with our agenda. We are now back on track. Agenda item 6 with communication. What? 7? All right. And what do we have here? Oh, you sent an email
Yeah, I'm gonna send it again because some people said they didn't get it yet.
regarding the meeting on September 4th.
Correct.
So we're inviting,
I'm not sure if I should just send it to, I can individually insert like every VOS, every, CIP, every,
every member of
BOF.
each group.
yeah, instead of just sending to the chair, I can just send it.
I would say so because we would love it if they all could attend, right?
Yeah.
So that's Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, CIP, and Tammy will be with us.
Yeah.
Was Rusty planning to attend that?
Yeah.
You also, okay, good. That is our QA and M.
How many, of the board members do you wanna have on the panel, so to speak, just the chairs and then?
No, I think everyone's gonna sit with their group,
Okay,
but I think, if you remember how we did it at the library last time. Sorry, it wasn't the library session, it was the, school building committee one, where I think we had a line of people with mics, it was a fiasco.
in the auditorium?
Yeah, it was in the gym. We'll probably do that again so that everyone can call their meeting to order. And then move.
Is Rusty going to present that same material again? Like, is
We
that
can
kind
have
of,
Rusty present whatever we want.
if he does, is he gonna adjust the numbers to reflect the 79%? Cause they only has 69 right now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we need everyone on the same page.
I think you need to do your ed spec first.
I was gonna just ask, when are we
But
scheduled to do
That's
that?
not on the thing we're on, so.
Okay, hoping everybody can come on board. Okay, moving on to number 8, we are doing the superintendent's report, beginning with enrollment.
All right, I'm gonna move fast. As of today, Center School has 177 students and Hall School has 160. That's for the start of the year. Obviously, this is like a hot time to suddenly register or leave. It's just the way it happens. So the district total as of today is 337. That's the loss of the 8th grade that was larger. That's basically the difference right now from last year. Staffing, Center School changes. We will be hiring a long-term sub for Brian Phillips, who's out on medical leave until at least November 1st, PE teacher at Center. We posted the long-term sub position and honestly, I don't know. We already have, like it went out today, we already have multiple applications, which is great. So that's a good problem to have. I hired Jennifer Wineland for the 0.4 part-time Center School art teaching position. She is actually part-time in another district and we were able to work the days so that she's here for a couple days and she's in another district for a couple days. So that's good. The changes for Hall School, I just got a letter of resignation from special education teacher Diana Lamont. We talked about contracts. She's making $12,000 more in a neighboring town. Throw a rock. That position has already been posted. That's a shortage area. Crossing my fingers because that's going to be hard to fill. I hired Jonathan Pine. He is filling the 0.5 PE position at Hall. And then I hired 8th grade math, Kayla First. And that was a shortage area too, and I was really nervous I was not gonna find somebody, and we did almost right away, which is great. And that actually came through word of mouth from one of our staff members who really enjoys working here. And she works with their spouse or work with their spouse, which is great. So here's the biggie. The open 3rd grade position that you have right now. If you remember, we had a teacher resign. We did not fill it because we were watching enrollments. If we could afford not to fill it and merge classes, it made sense. Here's your numbers. We were at 20 and 21. I was comfortable with. If we stayed, go to 2 sections, we budgeted for 3. We currently have 42 students and they're waiting on paperwork for 2 more. Parents have already come in, they're just waiting for the return of the paperwork. That would be 44. So if you don't want me to fill that position, that's classes of 22 at 3rd grade. And I will say 1st year testing. If you want to hold off, that's 14, 15, and 50 in 3 classes.
What are the averages usually in those classes from previous years?
In those classes, they're going from 14 and 15.
Third this year was 22 and 23, if you remember, because we had new kids come in, because we both have a child.
Yeah,
We have
it was.
third grade class.
I
So
see.
are you saying this was gonna be what Cranium was gonna go to? Okay.
So Karanians happened to resign and we had to move somebody.
Right.
Now we wouldn't move a person, we would just hire for that 3rd grade position. And again, this is the hard thing about small schools where numbers bump up and down. We would hire someone for that third grade position. Question is, and here's the risk, okay? I'm gonna tell you that what we budgeted at 65 with minimal benefits. If we get someone and the person that we hire is 92 and they take family, you're at $120,000, you're $60,000 in the hole. Telling you that before I even go through the budget report tonight, which is the smallest August report I will have ever given.
What's the maximum amount of kids you can have in that?
Your policy says up to 30. I don't know any district around us that's even close to that.
Even talent.
How many's in second and fourth?
I'd have to go back and look, but it's
like 43.
it's typically,
What is it, 2 classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I don't think anybody's at 22 though. I think they're at 20 and 21 or 21, 21, 42 total, 21, 21. It's not a huge difference. But again, you are at 22, you start bumping up, somebody else moves in. I can't guarantee that's not gonna happen. I can't guarantee someone's not gonna move out. I don't know that. But timing wise, I'm as late as I can go right now. Cause I've got to post and hire. I have not posted.
You're looking for a decision right now?
So you can wait until you see the budget if you want. It doesn't have to happen this moment, but at some point tonight, you should let me know, like. You want me to, I'm looking for some direction on that one, because this has been. We have tried to do things through attrition. Without having to cut someone and maintain those class sizes, which we've done, and we've done well. This is that opportunity now, it just happens to be where we need the person. It's where we had 2 kids move in.
We have a classroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
How's the classroom being used now?
every classroom's used right now.
Third grade.
It's because some sections have 2 and some have 3, so there's, it's. Like if I went back to the budget document, I can show you the number of classes at each grade level. Yeah, I have it, so I can share it too if that helps.
That might help to make the decision.
So current third from 24 to 25 was 39 and ended up being. Ended up being 20 and 20, because then we did get somebody else moved in. So the 4th graders were, according to the budget item, the 2nd graders who are going into 3rd now were at 44 in 2nd grade, but they had 3 classrooms. They'd be going down to 2. So 4th grade would have 39, and 3rd grade would have 44, both would have 2 classrooms.
That's a true bad. It's behind you if you want to see it. Below them. So this is the last column to the right is what we were expecting. And you're really looking at pre-K 4 right now. So the group of 42 is the group where, because someone left, we were looking to see if we could bring it down. The hard thing, when you get the 43, you start crossing 40, and it's, as the kids get bigger, it's harder to do. You hit 45, is when you start. As you go higher, that's where it gets higher. I start looking at, you'd have to go to a 3rd center. And this situation is trying to figure out which way you want to go.
How was your guys' daughter's experience with those larger classes?
Mine was great. Her teacher was phenomenal. I mean, I don't know, there may have been, the teacher may have had concerns, but as far as my.
Students wise, yeah, I have some complaints.
Other data to look at is our discipline data and our testing. And achievement data for that group. And if they are a very needy group, I will always support smaller class size because I've seen and know from professional experience the benefits of it. But those are some of the things that I would wanna look at or consider before making that call? Like, is it just particular, sometimes you just have a really particularly academically needy or behind group, and third grade is so critical, you don't wanna put them together and give them less teacher attention when really they need far more. And it's a group that has a lot of disciplinary issues. Let's also give them the best opportunity we can, and you have 3 classrooms. So those are some other factors in my mind that I would think about before making this.
Also, students with special needs, I think that another consideration.
How would I show you that? I don't wanna label a class like, this is a really challenging grade. I don't wanna do that. I mean, I
know,
could
that's
say,
why it's tricky.
in comparison to other grades, there was less referrals. There might be 2 kids, and you're gonna see this tonight in attendance, there might be 2 kids in one grade level who are significant needs, whether it's special education or, you know, could be a 504 that has significant needs. It could be 2 kids have the bulk of referrals in an entire grade, but it looks like the grade's high. If you just want me to say it's relatively comparable to others, I could look through that and come back to you at a different time, but
It's less about the special education, like having IEPs and 504s that I would be thinking about. It's more the, like the kids who need intervention from math and literacy. Because I'm sure that's different, you know,
Exactly, that's what it's.
those are the guys that get lost.
And often that's the responsibility of the classroom teacher to do intervention, that first level.
You'd have to look at the current second grade, right?
Right,
that's what this is, yeah.
Right, yeah.
and class placement may need to be altered if they're going to do. You're bringing them up there.
Looking at the second grade report cards, now there's a lot of 3s, which is at grade level. I'm looking for the last trimester,
Mhm.
and there's a significant amount of 3s, so there's a lot of that class at grade level
Okay.
for irrelevant things, so.
You could decide not to fill it. Budget wise. See what happens with, your numbers, if they creep up higher, because that's what just happened 1 year, we had every kid move in district in the 1st grade. It's crazy how it happens, but it happens. If that's the case, you could always come back and put an instructional assistant in that room, cheaper cost. You know, could be part-time, you can consider that, then you're not using all of the budget savings in that. If you, again, that's only if there's a need, you start hitting 25. You're gonna hear some flack from parents. You may hear some flack from parents at 22, 23.
More personalized attention is always best, especially for that age group, in my opinion, especially.
Yes, we should see it.
Okay. So we're gonna come back to that, right, after we talk about the,
Sure, glad to do that.
okay,
All right, so, the next thing is student performance review tonight is attendance data truancy. You asked to see early dismissals and late arrivals. So this is requests. Some of this data is out of Ed site, some of this data is, out of our state portal.
We don't have a copy of this, right?
No, this one you don't. This, sorry, I'm trying to make this larger for you, I just can't see. Okay, so the difference between the two, truancy and chronic absenteeism. Truancy is if you have 4 unexcused absences in a month or 10 unexcused absences in a year, that is what makes you truant, okay? And so what you're looking at is in the blue is the Ed site data. This is the public information. And 21-22 is 7%, 22-23 was 11. I think that's COVID related, where kids had to stay out. 23-24 was 7.3%, and then 24-25 was 6.53%. That's not in Ed site yet because it's just in our data, our PSIS data. All right, so the lowest it's been since, you know, this bar graph, which is what I pulled up in those 3 years they had, It's still 23 students. Do we know who they are? Yes, but you wanted to see what the numbers look like, and so that's what they are. As far as this is the other piece, and you talked about importance, and you were just talking about this in making your decision for how do we consider. What we do for if we hire, bring in another teacher or not. I actually edited this and I'm gonna blow it up even bigger, sorry. There we go. So I took out there's only 3 categories here: gender, lunch eligibility, and students with disabilities. I did that because some of these numbers get so small in other categories. I didn't include the categories for you, just so you know that. We have other data that we look at. I'm not sharing with you because it becomes identifiable and I don't want to do that. All right. So the point of this is it all the boys? It's not. Boys and girls, right? Is it students who are, free? They're a higher number than not eligible or reduced. Something to look at, right? And then is it students with disabilities or not? It's both. Right? So you can see the numbers there. This is stuff that we look at as an admin team and go, okay, who are the kids? It's a blessing for being small, right? You know who the kids are, how can we support. When you talk about chronically absent, this is a little bit different. They're not the same. So this is where it's all absences, whether they're excused, unexcused absences, or there's an out of school suspension. Okay. And that student is classified as chronically absent if they miss 10% or more of the days. That's 182 days. So they have to miss over that, 18.2. You can see there's the COVID effect. You had to be out for a certain number of days, right? 21, 22, 14.8, 11.5, and 23, 24, and 24, 25 was 5.97. That's, in my opinion, pretty good. It's dropped down. Do we know who those 21 students are? We do. And we look at that data to make sure we know that they have a plan, does a social worker need to be involved? Is there anxiety? What are the things we're looking at? And again, you come back to those same 3 categories, again, happens to be pretty similar. This one, lunch eligibility, free, was a little bit higher. And then students with disabilities was about the same. So interesting data. This is just on the truancy and chronic absenteeism. Okay. On the tardy to school or early dismissal side, this is what it looks like. So center school had 937 occurrences for late to school in 24-25. Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. I typically do that before you guys get here, and I didn't today. So late to school, 937 instances. And 1,058 early dismissals. Fall school, late to school, 577. And honestly, I thought it was going to be the other way around. When I looked at this data, I thought it was going to be our middle school students. And early dismissals, 469. You can see the totals there. Now, here's where I found it to be interesting. CES averages 5 students a day that are late, and averages 6 students a day that are dismissed early. Now, I went through this data, and some of the early dismissals are things, and I'm just giving you center school at this point. Some of them are like 3:15. That's the end of the day, right? So it's pretty close. I didn't pull those students out. I just left. If it was coded in PowerSchool as you're leaving early or you're late to school, I left it in. It could have been late to school by 4 minutes. Doesn't matter, you're late to school. Okay. And then HMS averaged to 3 students per day late and 3 students early dismissal. Now, I pulled this out because I thought this was important, just like I mentioned with discipline referrals, is that a small handful of students may account for a large number of tardies or dismissals. So I just pulled 4 students from center school just to give you this is reality. There's a student that was late 153 times. Do you think we know who that student is and there's a plan? Yeah, for sure. Right? There's 2, 3, and 4. Just the number of days that they're coming to school late. We know about these students. They might have special plans. It might be okay for them to come late based upon a plan that they have. The point is, when you look at the total number of tardies and you're like 937. They're relatively even across a bunch of kids. But there is a chunk that comes out just because there's, 4, 5, 6 kids that are 20 plus. If that makes sense.
And we were talking about this because obviously school attendance is very important, but we were, I think, talking about it in regards to achievement. For example, if a student at home has math first period and they're coming in halfway through math and then their grades are suffering, there's that correlation there. So that was kind of, I think, part of how this all came to be.
Both principals, Alicia actually had a really good resource. Both principals are sending out a flyer just to talk about the importance of attendance. And it basically says, if you miss 7 days by first grade, if you miss 14 days by second grade, if you miss, and it talks about the correlation to achievement, it's actually very well done. So the parents will be receiving that.
Good, yeah, that's important.
Questions about either of those things?
Thanks for pulling it up.
Yep. And I'm gonna drop these in your data folder that you can see.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. No questions?
Moving on.
Okay.
What is
Oh,
going
that's the
on?
excitement one, probably gonna wait that one. All right, so next one's the field update. So if you've driven by Hall School, it's not a surprise that Public Works did a great job. They have stripped the field, the top layer, Red was the one that did it, for the most part. Using the machine that Troy had purchased at the end of the year, they're using the same machine to take care of dirt roads. It's prepped for hydro seeding right before they do it. They will stir up the dirt again just so it takes better. It's slated to be done next week. I don't know when. They're kind of watching the weather as usual. If it's gonna rain, that will help us out. They did right to the outside edge of the infield of the softball field. So there's gonna be no bumps, no ruts, it's gonna be all playing surfaces, softball and soccer. That will be significantly better without those ankle breaker ruts in there, which is a great fix. I will tell you that they spent days out there and they've done a great job. And ironically, the top layer that they removed, a lot of it was dumped over the steep hill between 32 and the shed that's there. And it now is gonna help for the cross-country course, I believe, because it's created a ring. And so there, the cross-country trail goes all the way through, but they'll be able to run up that, which is very helpful. So that's exciting. So all the plans for soccer are, they'll have practices at the lower field and at River Road, and all the games will be at River Road. All those things are coming together.
Question.
Yeah.
If you're including a softball field in that, are they going to hydro seed around the infield and leave it as dirt, or are they gonna hydro seed what would be dirt and then have to dig it all back up to make, because the softball field has no grass there?
No, it's just to the edge, so all
Oh,
the
I see.
infield will remain dirt.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
which
we
right
should
now
have
is
to,
all crabgrass. They have a machine for that as well.
I just wanna make sure we're not doing like
No.
double work of
No,
planting and then ripping.
no,
right
it's
back up.
just the outfield. But we went right to the edge to cover the outfield. All right,
Communication, when is communication? The parents need to know that there's gonna be adjustments to the team.
so I've notified coaches and I think that John Pine is gonna be our AD. I'm waiting for confirmation on that, but he's gonna put out a notice to teams. I think some coaches already have.
Yeah, I think the sooner the better. So
Yeah, we're still, I think they were looking for a boys soccer coach still.
Okay,
So-
and we're busing students.
That's
to the field
unbudgeted. You're busing students to River Road.
As
or-
well as back.
Probably not, because just like school, the pickup will be there. You won't need that.
Okay,
And we're trying to work it out through a route. The games are separate, but we're trying to make it so that they can jump on a bus that is already en route to that neck of the woods.
that'll just depend on the timing, right?
Soccer
Okay.
parents have been notified.
Yeah, I thought that
Thank
it went.
Okay.
Okay, let me share this. This is the exciting one to share. So, obviously the playscape, surfacing is installed. We'll have some soil work and seeding, that's what remains. I signed off on some additional work today, so the area they cleared, and where they poured the right amount. We need to now put some topsoil back in and hydroseed that. It's gonna be an additional $4,800. Same vendor. It's within your budget that you are going to do. Just gonna get it done. So really the edge, it basically, right now there's sections where there's a drop off. And there won't be a drop off. It'll just basically go right up to it. The only thing we found out from the installer that was interesting that we're gonna have to sort out, and this is gonna be a Lisa problem, Cushing, is that we were told that the sandbox, the sand is really bad for the surfacing. So we're gonna have to make sure, like we set expectations for kids to keep the sand in the sandbox. Sometimes they bring sand over and make piles of the wood chips. That can't happen. We're gonna keep the sand in the sandbox. So that's just some, training that we'll be doing. But it's awesome. I mean, it's in the last day of summer school. We let them go out. And the kids were really excited, so.
So the grass will go right up to the edge of the.
Yeah, so part of this is actually, and it's hard to tell from this one, there's actually ADA access, which there had to be. And I'm not sure if this is the paved part, it's hard to tell if it's the dust or not, when I took this. Or if it's that section that's gonna be grass.
That's great to have a sidewalk through for ADA.
Yeah,
And now it's all weather.
Yeah.
unless there's a foot of snow on it, as long as there's no snow, they can play on that playground.
1 year.
Which is great. And I found out in Maine, they go out 15 degrees and above. We do 20.
They're hardy folks up
Yeah, they are hardy folks. Sure. All right, so we need to close this.
Other,
I just want to let you know that there's a group of volunteers and they've met a couple times. I've been out there a couple times. Public Works has been out there. And pun intended, great strides on the cross-country trail. I'm really excited. The kids are gonna have a course that they can actually run. Public Works put in basically a sidewalk along the back side of the parking lot. We've got a W through right behind the lower parking lot behind Hall. There's a trail that will run along the river for a while. They installed back there, Jamie, you were there helping out. There's a group of people that have helped put the trail in. Katie was there. There's been a whole group of people that have done work. Next week, we're doing the fencing with my maintenance guys are doing that. So they're gonna put in some fencing. There's a steep section where we don't want kids running off the edge. And it goes all the way down to the end and then loops back towards the lower field. So it's exciting. I think the kids are excited and some of the kids were out there helping do the work as well. So I'll once it's done and we wheel it, see how the actual length, I'll actually do like a GoPro or something or with my phone so you can actually see the course. I'll speed it up so it doesn't take you. All right.
thanks.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this financial report.
This is the tightest August report I have ever had. So basically, everything that can be encumbered for the most part has been encumbered, things like salaries across the board. Center School Program 1, obviously there's some supply money there, even though it looks like we're already in the hole, $3,000. Remember that the grant funds for title are not applied yet. That makes a difference, so it'll bring it out, but there's not a lot of money. Donna and I were looking at each other today going, whew, this is pretty tight. The art in grade 3 positions to be updated, they are encumbered right now. So obviously that may make a difference, but the art will change based upon the new person's salary. So it's gonna be minor. But grade 3 can make a difference, right?
Do you not know the art salary yet?
We do, they just haven't, they haven't done it on the payroll side of it yet. The program 2 is basically the same thing. The art and PE positions are not encumbered though. Art is full-time, right? And so you can assume master's step 1-ish is like 60-65. That's coming off the 183. The PE position, the halftime position is another amount of money that's coming off. So we're getting there, but there's, it's tight. Program 3, they've encumbered some of the outplacement numbers that they know. This is a program where the grant funds are not applied, being excess costs. That's a lot of money. $300,000 comes back to this. And then the non-lapsing fund that you assign to this, the 100,000 is not applied to. Don't get excited because there's $211,000 in there though, because that's just outplacement tuition and transportation that's not been billed yet. It's not there. We just don't have billed yet. It's brand new. All right. Program 4. Oh, yes.
Do we have any information on the?
No.
Oh.
I know you're gonna ask. And I
Okay.
am. No.
Okay.
I will email you that, but once it's finalized, it happens. Program 4, the all funds encumbered for regular transportation, the contract. The funds that you see, the 46,000 that's already there, that's the Region 19 diesel. So that's already, we encumbered all, but that money will come back. So the 46 will come back. The reason why we still have funds in there is because we prepaid a portion of a month of the contract with your savings from last year. All right, because it's a multi-year contract. Health services, pretty standard, normal. Program 6 is pretty standard. All the stipends are encumbered. That's pretty standard for this time of year. Same thing for 7. All of those utilities are encumbered. If we have a really cold winter, that makes me nervous. But that's, we base it on usage. Typical funds for supplies for this time of year, program 8. And program 9, we have any of the school choice, the magnets that we have to pay for. We don't have bills for those in yet. The subscriptions and licenses, things like Microsoft, those are not encumbered yet. But like my salary is encumbered, IT's, the fund for Novus for IT is encumbered. And then E-rate funds are not applied yet. So we have that E-rate funds for special internet rates. That helps us out. It brings some money back. That's not applied yet. And then the program 10 is the one that's Donna and I is probably making us the most nervous, to be honest with you. Typically, we see some level of surplus here, just from the standpoint of people moving in and out. And this has already been updated somewhat for the paperwork that we have for new people taking insurance or not. And it's in the whole 15 grand. This is something that she and I are going to watch very carefully. We're hoping that September, October, we can see all of the things, settle out with new people. But that's because I'm going to tell you right now, there's still $30,000 in that program for things that have not been encumbered yet. So that easily could be $50,000 in the hole. That's not something you've seen in years. And this is the risk of, no placeholders, things like that. Questions about the financial report? And now you know why I said you need to be thoughtful about that position. 5% of your budget remaining on this document in August makes my heart pitter patter a little bit. So, FYI. Okay. Do you want to talk about the position at this point, or do you want me to keep going?
So how much time do you need? If we didn't make a decision tonight, but you did get several, there's a lot of for sale signs around here. And if you did get some new kids,
So at this point, a brand new teacher, I could hire tomorrow. I'm being a little facetious in this, like I posted, we interviewed them and it's very fast, right? No, someone coming from another district is typically held for 30 days. We don't pull, superintendents don't pull from each other. We, you know, if they're established, we give them 30 days to post and work towards hiring. If it's somebody from the district, this person's not starting today until
30 days, yeah.
September 12th.
Let's start before that.
Correct. So that's why, like, time frame wise, it's pretty tight. I've waited about as long as I can, and of course, the numbers I got today were 2 students hired.
What happens with the instructional assistant group? Could you talk about that a little bit?
So if we watch, if it stays at 22, and that's typically someone that you give 2 weeks, right? If they're working someplace else. So I'll give you the example. We are back in school with kids on the 28th. On the 28th, our numbers are 23 and 24. And you have a board meeting pretty quickly in September. And I report those numbers out to you and you go, that's really high. Based upon that group, it's the highest that we've had in many, many, many years. We want to put a support in there. I post the next day. If I find somebody within 2 weeks and then they give their 2 weeks, you're a month out. So you're realistically looking at like October 12th before help has arrived, unless we put a staff support specialist in sharing those spaces.
Are you talking one person to be split between?
I
the
wouldn't
two?
put one in each. I don't think you might as well hire a teacher at that point.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just too much money.
I guess I meant now, like if we were to hire an IA.
They would start
kind
day
of
one.
preemptively.
You could start day one. I really think so. I would post tomorrow, and people are looking for jobs right now. And it wouldn't be special education related. You don't have that, you know, it's kind of like the old duty clerical, you could call them a staff support specialist. But it's quicker.
can you talk to Lisa about it? I'm wondering
Oh, I already have.
what's her
Yeah.
thought?
She understands both sides. I mean, I think our teachers would love this, you know, to go to a class of 18 and 15. I think that's the reason some people come to Willington.
And so with grandparents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam, you had a question?
Is that position that you just said the same as a paraprofessional or?
So, yes, it's a paraprofessional, but it's not special education related. All of our paraprofessionals are assigned to students for special education services. This position would be, like, some people call them instructional assistants, it's the same thing. You probably have some high school, right?
We just dropped 3.
Okay. Mansfield has them. And they're not tied to a specific special education student. They're tied to a group of students in a classroom or to a teacher. So if you and John were the teachers, I would assign the person to you and John, and you'd figure out your schedules and how to support and where they would be.
they could take a reading group, so you could divide
Yeah,
the kids into
Yeah,
small.
and that's
groups.
where you're like, I mean, Arthur was talking about looking at data, you'd look at the data and go, this group is strong in math, I'm not gonna be there for math, I'm gonna be in the other math, you know, classroom.
Mhm.
You sort those things out, right?
So as far as I'm sorry, you're all clear. As far as like the budget goes, how would that look?
So you're gonna have non-lapsing dollars, you're gonna, be able to put the 100,000 that you're applying you're gonna be able to put $100,000 back in. And so you could. I was gonna say, I've never heard that. You could potentially use some of those non-lapsing funds to offset special education costs. Depending on what happens in the future, if somebody else moves in that's outplaced, it's hard to do that. And remember, that's a one shot, you know, goes back in your budget next year.
And they're not lapsing number.
So the number that I saw today was still a 270, but that hasn't taken out the 100. And I have to confirm it with Donna, but I think there's a 50 in there as well. I thought it was at 120. And so It'll be back in there. We also, remember, talked about using it, that money for the playground, and we didn't. You know,
Did you have that other 4,000 that you needed to finish it up somewhere?
yes, well, it's in there was ARPA funds and then BO budget.
Do you have that slide still readily available that has the classroom sizes on it? I'm sorry.
Yes, I did.
I might have it somewhere, but.
Sorry, I'm gonna click through a bunch of. Oh, what's the next one? Look at that. Again, this is not current, remember, this was the projection. When we developed the budget in December of 24. So the group we're talking about is this group right here. Moving from second grade into third grade.
And now that number is.
And so now they would be here. And that 43 is what we're looking at, really is 44, but in two sections.
So today there's 22 in each.
If you are at 2.
And it's their first year of SBAC. Sorry.
So I.
It's not gonna be a popular opinion, but we all know what we went through with budget. We all know the price that came out. I think there's no better opportunity to give it a shot. And we have fail safes to at least get through the year and know that. And if it doesn't work, let's say it doesn't work, let's say the kids are struggling, you have to hire an IA and all that kind of stuff. We come back through a budget, you have a practical example of why we need to break these classrooms up. Otherwise, you don't have it. So if you go to break them up preemptively, that's an argument against us. And saying that we don't care about the budget, we're obviously not listening to the people, all that kind of stuff. This is a prime chance for it to be a pass or fail experiment. I hate to word it that way, but that's kind of what it is. It would either work and work well, or it would work okay, or it would be an abject failure. But at least that way, when it comes back around, because these kids are gonna then move into fourth grade the following year. You're gonna say, because the fourth grade only has 2 teachers, you're gonna say, we need a third, fourth grade teacher because of what happened in third grade.
I hear what you're saying, but that's not a gamble I would take
Fair.
this with our kids.
That's fair.
And you know, like the older they get, you assume that maturity is better, stronger. And so having some larger class sizes as the children age makes a little bit more sense. I would say third grade is still critical, especially in literacy. So my vote is obviously higher, and those are some reasons why, but you know, everyone.
Yeah, but coming up soon, you're gonna have not a lot of kids. Yeah, 26, 24, 24.
That,
Right, but they don't stay in those sections. So I would let a teacher go.
Once you wanna hire someone for 2 years and then let them go.
They switch grades to kind of balance.
They
out.
move, yeah.
Right, and if somebody, this is why I say we do it through attrition. Sometimes someone leaves and then I won't fill the position.
I feel like at a minimum, just my opinion, at a minimum, we should have an IA in there, and I feel like there's a way that the teachers could target that. The kids who are identified as having challenges for that person to very specifically work with them, and that is an opportunity kind of in the middle, which isn't super great, but I feel like nothing is not a great idea, and I'm not sure that we would be able to get, I just feel like our budget is so tight that, the teacher position is almost out of reach, unfortunately, but that's.
Let me share the risk though. So this is what's the unknown for financially, right? So I have to post that internally. if one of my folks from internally takes that position, I now have to hire another paraprofessional. That person that's coming in could be $25,000 a year, or they could be $35,000 a year. They could waive benefits and we pay them $1,800, or they could take family and we now tack on another 28. Same, and this is why I say I'm giving you the example, because it's almost a wash, depending on how it happens. One teacher at 65 who waives benefits is equal to a paraprofessional who takes family benefits.
I think elementary classroom teachers you're likely to find that right now.
On what?
I think you're likely to find that.
Right, I'm just giving you the example. The hiring the IA,
The gamble.
the hiring the IA might literally be equal to replacing the teacher. What, and I'm giving you that example, but I will not ever guarantee to you who I'm gonna hire. I always hire the best person that we can find, and if that best person is $92,000, I'm gonna find a way to get that person on board. It's like their teacher of the year 4 times over, I'm gonna say no because they're $92,000. I've never operated that way.
Well, Arthur, when you just looked at the second grade. Report cards?
Yeah.
Or, and they were all pretty much like at average.
Yeah, they were the most consistent that I've run through so far.
One second.
So did you say that we could use 100 from the lapsing if we needed to?
You have some non-lapsing funds that are there for, a budgetary emergency, and I mean, this potentially could be that year because if you have an outplacement.
And if we knew that we had that money, I think I would rather take the risk and go with the teacher. And I think that's a whole lot more effective than an IA in 2 classrooms. Whose time is divided between the 2 classrooms. Especially if we're talking about a somewhat similar amount of money.
How long does 4th grade only have 2 classrooms?
Each year, I just go back and look at it.
We could look at that data and see, because that would be more of a drastic jump from 4th into 5th anyways, which I think we know we struggle with that.
Yeah.
So look to see how detrimental 2 versus 3 it has been.
We could compare last year's 3rd grade. And
Well, right now with the data we have. That Phil's given us for this year, we have a year in isolation. We would need another year to go and do that comparison, but the only thing that I'm going off of, I should say. I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, is just the change in test scores from, if you'll notice, from 4th grade to 5th grade. Just there is a fair drop, maybe not in dibbles, but in either I right here, it says, that's correct, there's a fair drop between 4th and 5th grade.
This is the Dibble score, so if we're looking at specific reading scores, and we're looking at this group here, 8, 9, and 10, those rows. 7 kids in the red, 10 in the approaching, and 26 at grade level. Just, if I'm looking at report cards versus, standardized, I'm gonna compare this and it's
And
not really different than anything else.
that 2nd grade has more at-risk students than I think that next year.
Based on the yellow, yeah,
And the red too, I think.
well,
Are you talking about compared to which grade though?
Like the 13, I'm comparing 2nd and 3rd, and I'm looking at the red bar. So you have,
Yeah, 3rd grade has more. And,
well, those,
right,
no, the 2nd has 13 and 7 and 7.
oh, I'm looking at end of year,
yeah,
composite end of year,
Okay.
so I'm looking at 7, 10, 26.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at end of year.
Okay. So with didn't last year 3rd grade have 2 classes? Then how come we're reporting 3?
these are trimesters of testing, not classrooms. So fall test, the
So,
winter
okay,
test. and the
that's
spring
what I
test.
thought. Okay,
I mean, now that we're watching the data a little more closely, I think we could keep our eye on the pulse and see how it's going.
That's what I'm leaning towards, holding for at least a month and just keep an eye on those sizes and make that decision.
but it's really hard to start a new class like in
Yeah, that's
October.
what you know.
A teacher could leave at any time, just remember that, so you could hold and wait and see how it goes, you could have 25 really angry parents in here saying, hey, put a teacher in there, and you might have to figure it out if you wanna listen to that, but you know what I mean, like, that group of parents, if you, that's how you might make a decision too. But you could hire a teacher, John, in November if you wanted to. No, it's not unheard of.
Kids out of the other two classes, there are.
It's not easy,
No way.
but you
Yeah,
could do
That's so
that.
disruptive. to
Yeah,
the
but
children.
it's either that or you let them go and continue to not do well in the 2020 or the 22 classroom. Yeah, I'd rather take the approach of try it, and if it doesn't work, if we have to move them in December or move them in January, it's better than not moving them at all.
It's an option, I'm not saying it's a good option.
Right, exactly.
Well, especially since we're already talking 22.
Right.
We're not, it's not even 20.
Right.
I think we should hire the teacher.
Okay, so are you ready to decide? I mean, I shared my thoughts and made it.
This is what we probably have to vote on.
Yeah, someone has to make a motion if you guys want to do so.
Okay, I'll start. I move that we hire a new third grade teacher for a third section, third grade this year.
Can I rephrase that before you
Sure.
move on, sorry, it's already in the budget. So if you're gonna make a motion, it probably should be to not fill it. I've not filled it, it's currently in the budget, I could hire them tomorrow. What you're voting on is to change that, so I do not fill it.
Okay, so I
Does
take
that make
that as
sense?
a motion.
Yeah.
So if you do not want to, me to hire that teacher,
Alright, then I'm gonna move that we do not fill the vacancy for third grade first center.
Second.
I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, we've had the fourth grade class at comparable numbers at 2 classes versus 3. With 1 to 2 student difference being at 20 versus 22. Yes, people could move in and out at any time. But also it's the last year for going to hall. I understand Arthur's point of using it as like, okay, well, look, we are trying to cut back. We're trying to see if increased sizes of classrooms matter or decreased sizes matter. We have some personal experience saying that does matter. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm honestly 50-50 on it.
Yeah, and I think smaller class sizes are good, I just want to keep an eye on it, because we don't know what the future holds.
And every class is gonna be its own
Yeah.
variable. There's
100%.
I have a lot of faith in the third grade teachers at center, I think just.
Just went through that.
Just went through
Yeah.
there. they're both great.
I agree.
actually have a lot of faith, in them. they just dealt with a class about this size.
it's true.
Get her to, so.
It seems like we're paying closer attention to metrics of discipline, scores. We have all this different data that we're paying attention to. This is a good opportunity to put it to work and be like, okay, let's actually see what's going on with it. And
And I will say, I made the motion, but if a bunch of parents come in here and they're angry about it, I'll be the first to say, all right, well then. Hire another teacher, like obviously.
Right.
So.
yeah, I also understand Brianna's point. It's like, oh, it's so disruptive to like switch it up halfway through.
Right.
I think
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the teachers would appreciate your verbal support to bring in an IA or a para. If that's something that you think you need, like if those numbers creep up and you're still gonna keep it there, I think that's important for them to understand. You're
Oh,
not,
absolutely.
you're not gonna let it, 4 more kids
Yeah.
move in, you're not gonna just let it keep going.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that should be, I don't know if we can make it as part of the motion to make sure that there's some it's not just not fill it and
Mm.
nice knowing you, it's not
Monitor.
filling it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But monitor and check and make sure that the whatever metrics we're using, we are watching that.
I get what you're saying, but we don't need to motion for that, because the motion is for the now, it can already change next meeting. Like,
Next meeting, we can
do
motion
another
to
motion
hire
and
someone.
fix it, like, it's not, I understand what you're saying, I think that's just kind of a verbal affirmation from us that we're going to keep an eye on it, and when if it does go poorly, then we have to take all the steps we have to do to remedy that.
Well, I think you wanna have the IA in place. You don't wanna wait till it goes forward before you do that. You wanna have he or she in place at the beginning of this school year.
I don't think you need it. I
Even
don't.
with the large.
No, I think if it's gonna jump, I think you need to be prepared to allow me to respond.
Yes,
That's my point.
right away.
I don't want them to sit on, and again, it happens, 24, 25 kids in the classroom. I don't want teachers to suddenly go, I'll put my application out. I don't want that to occur. So I think they will understand the not filling. I think they will also understand if it grows, I'm going to get support, the board will react.
Mhm.
The board will respond. And that might be a special meeting that you just, you know what, suddenly I'm calling you and saying, we need to have a special meeting because our numbers just jumped by 7 kids and that's an issue.
Well, if it
Oh.
jumps by 7 kids, I hope the email says we need to hire a new teacher,
Well, that's for you, like,
That's us.
right?
you'd have to come back.
Not once the school year starts.
But I mean. Yeah. I mean, if it happened between now and when school started,
So you're all or nothing, you're either now or never, as far as a teacher, it's both.
Or you don't think we'll get a teacher?
I
We've already
think we should
accepted.
hire a third grade teacher for that open position 100%. Is where I am. I don't wanna, let's see how they do. Why would you pick that when you can give them the best opportunity? I don't know, add a teacher later, no way, that is so disruptive for the families, the staff, kids have already bonded with their adults. That's just, that would be such a mess. If you're talking about putting an IA in those rooms, that says to me, you already know that that's too much in one classroom. That's just what I'm hearing, and again, some professional experiences waving giant red flags in the back of my head. And like some teachers have already reached out to students in certain districts, like the bonds, those bonds are already forming. Those groups are already becoming a community.
Brianna, you know how we made that policy that we can invite someone from the audience if it's relevant to our conversation? Could we hear from Carrie, who is who is a part of our staff? Carrie, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, if you have any questions.
Is it okay that?
Yeah, can you, if you're willing to, can you just tell us, your name and your, we're gonna add address and then also position so that people understand why you're commenting.
Carrie Rainville, Potter School Road, Staff Support Specialist at Center Elementary School. My thoughts working in this school, I am 100% smaller classrooms sizes. Just because I see how important the, the ratio to student to teacher. The bonds that they create, the individualized experience that the children get, one-on-one time. And those that do need extra support, a lot of them get taken out for that extra support as well. So, that's where I stand.
Would having an instructional assistant in between 2 classes be effective or as effective? I mean, I don't. that's
It wouldn't
not a
be
good
as
question.
effective, but
She's also never lived it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so thank you for participating, because you were the dual hat parent and staff member, then, let's see if there's any other parents in the group who wanted to chime in. Anybody in the room want to add their 2 cents? It's okay, looks like online we have a parent to participate.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, Jim Marshall, Fisher Hill Road. Yeah, I'm a parent of a student that's about to be entering the third grade. And quite frankly, I am pretty adamantly against any consideration of larger class size, particularly at that age level. For my son or any of the students in the third grade, I think you guys should be putting the students and their needs first, and smaller class sizes will always be more beneficial for them. Particularly at that age level than a 20 to 25 student class size, particularly since we're apparently debating this on a whim as a trial and error to see whether it's going to sink or swim. And that just isn't right. And quite frankly, should this pass, I mean, I'm the fact that this is even being debated is already being explored around the third grade community or the up and coming third grade community. Parent community, and I can, at least from my perspective, I can pretty much guarantee you guys are going to get a tremendous amount of pushback for singling out these students in that way. So I'd urge you to keep the 3 classes at the reasonable class sizes that align with what they're used to and what all of the other grades, except for one, apparently are already at. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. I want to take a second to clarify that if you are not actually a parent of a student in our district, you're welcome, of course, to comment or ask questions as well. Just want to make sure to make that very clear. Sorry. Okay, Mr. McCoo.
Hi, Mike McCoo, Clover Springs Drive. Having kids in Willington schools as well as E.O. Smith, hearing their conversations and feedback, and some of them having even had extra support in school. While I'm very cognizant of the budget issue, I think the lean towards the smaller class sizes is not experimental. We know that makes things better. I tried to think back while this discussion was going on, and looking back at some of the classes I was in as a kid, realizing that was 40 years ago, of course, going through grade school. And the largest class I could find was 18. And that was through the Willington schools. And even at that point, I was in a position where I myself didn't require a lot of attention for, let's say, behavioral reasons or anything like that in a classroom, and that drew the one teacher. And of course, this was before the days of paras and everything else, but that drew the attention of the teacher to the people who needed more support, whether it was behaviorally or something like that. But what that meant, because I was kind of a quieter student, was that my access to the teacher was very limited. Um, excuse me, which at the time I didn't mind because it allowed me to not draw their attention to what I wasn't accomplishing. So I guess what I'm trying to say is all of my experience, whether as a student or a parent, I think the smaller class size is an advantage, particularly not getting up into this area of 22. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just stop you for 1 second?
Sure.
I do not have a problem at all with public participation. My only concern is we are in the middle of a motion. So now you have external forces, and this came up on Board of Finance as well. You've got external forces trying to sway the vote one way or another. That's not a vote by us. We should have done this before there was a motion for, I believe.
Did we withdraw it and bring it up again?
It'd be my motion to withdraw. I mean, I'm fine doing it just for the purposes because we've never done this before. But I think that's not, I think we're in a weird spot. I don't think we should have this in the middle of the motion, you know what I mean?
I don't look at it as like presenting an argument, we do discussion, but I hear what you're saying too. We discussion, yeah.
So,
So.
all right, so for me,
let's think about how we-
well, for the purposes of this, I'll withdraw my motion
Okay.
for now, so we can do this. So like I said, I'm fine with the participation.
Yeah, let's think about how we should
Yeah.
approach that in the future.
Sure.
Okay, Mrs. Castle, can you state your name, address, and whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. Jan Castle, and I'm the former music teacher at Center School. And I would say we've never had a class that's been 22. In the 29 years that I was there was never a class that was 22. The biggest class I think I ever had was 20 or 21. I shouldn't say that, never. My daughter was in a class of 24 when she was in kindergarten, and it was quickly made into 5 classes instead of 4, so there were only 18 to 20 in each class. I want you to also consider the size of the classes, the classrooms. The kids are big. In my class, in the art and music room, there is about a 12 by 14 rug that you're trying to put however many kids there are on that rug. And it is not big enough for 22 kids. Can people handle 22 kids? Yes. But our rooms are not big enough to be able to handle that, at least for the music room and the art room. So I would suggest, the individual attention and what we're able to do, as everybody has already said, is certainly a consideration, but the size of the actual physical space is also a consideration.
That's a shared space. Art and music is a shared space, so the tables are on one part of the room, and then the carpet she's talking about is on the other. And it's still there because they're on off days. I would say music still uses the table, but when you start talking about movement and singing, you're really limited to the carpet space because there are tables.
What's our total number in 3rd grade currently? 44?
The 42 with 2
Coming on.
kids that we full expect, that would be 44.
And what's our current 4th grade?
Give me a second. Just shared a spreadsheet with you today.
2020.
Yeah, that was from December, and I know for a fact in 3rd grade, they added at least 1, if not 2 kids since December.
And 4th, something like 33.
No, current 3rd going into 4th is what John's asking. So going into 4th would be the new number. That's not gonna be on.
He's gonna have enrollment.
Yeah.
41. There were 41 going into 4th grade.
So 20 and 21.
Correct,
So if we're gonna fix this for one, why wouldn't we fix it for the other?
because you don't have another classroom and the position is already exists.
So why bring it to
Typically-
us if it's already existed in the budget? Respect, or what do you,
Attrition,
okay,
those
well, it's
two,
already budgeted.
those 2 things, but. Right, but when we did the budget, if I had known this before, I would have shared the same exact thing with you. Do you want to?
Okay,
And if the person hasn't left. Your classes would have been filled with 3 sections. Like that's what we planned for. We made class lists already with 3 sections. When someone leaves, that's the piece where we try and go, okay, should we consolidate a group or not? Typically, the response when we have 44 is no. We won't consolidate 44.
I'm gonna send it on up to Mrs. Colbert. Hi, sorry.
It's easier to raise your hand for everyone.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna help much, but I am like the parent of someone going into 5th grade, so it was a larger class size, the 2 classes. I think we have a little bit different of a circumstance because our kids were the ones that had kindergarten. Their first school experience was in one classroom all day long. They ate lunch in there, they had gym in there, they had music in there. So it really was like a different group. I think there was a lot of social emotional stuff that had to be developed. I don't know if it's because of that, but I feel like, and I don't know if Carrie can relate, but talking to other parents in our grade, it feels like a lot of stuff went unnoticed about these kids for a very long time. And then there was this last minute push for services to try to say like, what is going on? Like, what do you mean they're not? And I silly, I don't know if you remember, but the first time I moved to town and I found out there was gonna be 18 kids in my kids' class, I said, I didn't move to Willington for this, I came from East Hartford, so. And you said, you know, you have to do what you have to do, but, I was a huge advocate for smaller class sizes. I will say in my experience, once those, needs are noticed, a lot of these kids do get removed for smaller instruction. I don't know if that necessarily counterbalances the fact that if you had noticed long ago or there was an extra teacher, they may have not even gotten to this point, that intervention could have been caught up early. Rather than just kind of like, you know, you're so busy with this one's behavior that you're not noticing that this one can't read. So I guess in many ways, I feel like if it's already budgeted, there's other things that can be cut that doesn't sacrifice what's gonna eventually cost the town more money later, because there's gonna be services, you're gonna need extra paras, you're gonna need supports, you're gonna need special education teachers, more BCBA evaluations and all kinds of things that I think a smaller class size, the teacher would have noticed and maybe sent them off to Miss Homo for some intervention earlier, or extra support. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I feel like have a really, you know, not to toot our own horns, but we have the hard kids. I mean, everybody suffered with COVID, but these kids, like, you know, were masked up in their class, not able to move their bodies, and had gym in their classroom, and, so I think it's a little bit different of a situation, but I can see how that could eventually develop into the same kind of thing. There just needs to be more eyes on the kids. Less kids.
Right. Thank you for that. That's a really unique point.
Can I just,
No, good.
I think that we've talked about class sizes before, and you know, when we've done budget discussions and, varying conversations, and I think that, as we just heard parents come here for the class sizes, it's for our fancy buildings and for our extracurricular activities. The small class sizes are something that's pretty compelling, so it's hard to have a conversation about that. And not just do what we said we were gonna do in the budget.
I just to clarify something, like believe something I said, it's being misconstrued. Let's not pretend that we're doing something unprecedented here by not filling this position, because third grade had 20 and 21 this year. Fourth grade is gonna have those same 20 and 21 the year coming up. So these kids have been in larger class sizes before. I just, it's making it sound like I'm saying, let's take the 3 and cram them into 2 and see what happens. That's not what I'm saying. I was just commenting on the situation of, it's by attrition, they would be going into 2. And it happened this past third grade year, and it'll happen in the fourth grade year too. So it is happening. It's not like I'm suggesting we do this at random. That's all. But I have a compromise. And I don't know how this would work. What if we agree to fill the third grade teacher position at the specified 65 with what single benefits, 10 grand? That's 75 out of the budget, and anything above that would come from non-lapsing. So that way, it's not like we budget for 65 and Phil hires a great teacher at 92, you know, blows up to 117, and then we have to find another 50 grand. We're on the understanding that we've hired this teacher for this amount, and anything extra is gonna have to come out of our non-lapsing, and we agree that that's where it's gonna come from. That's my compromise.
So I think that's awesome. How would you do it? I mean, how would you budgetarily do that anyway? Because you said if you had someone who was, your example was $92,000 a year, you would not let them go, you would figure out how to do it.
Typically, you get lucky with insurance. So someone I hired with, you know, you get somebody who's 24 years old and they're on their parents' insurance for another 2 years. They don't have the experience and they're not getting insurance. It's just the way it works. Sometimes and then other times it's like, you hire a teacher who's top step because that was the best person that came through, and you know they're gonna make a difference walking in the door right away. That's where when we move money, you make transfers at the end of the year, which you'll probably do next month, for 24-25. That's what he's talking about. You're just committing that and thank you for saying that, and the reason why is because, I don't wanna freeze the budget. We lived that already 2 or 3 years ago now, and let me tell you, that is not fun. Cause can I have? No. Can I have? No. No. The answer is just no. Right? We've been there because that was the year we had all those outplacements. That's really hard when it impacts everybody else. So if the plan is, you know what you have in the budget. Right? We know what the exact dollar amount is with insurance. We know what that is. $1.90. Anything above and beyond that. And you could even wait to do it if you wanted to, like, maybe health insurance is gonna turn around. I don't know that. But if it does, you wouldn't have to do the non-lapsing. But the idea is that you have a plan, and if you're going to commit to that, and I hire somebody at 75 and they take single benefits and it's only $10,000 more, I say only, that you now are not going to spend that $10,000 on non-lapsing. We're gonna say if we had 120, even though it's gonna show up as 120, it's gonna be 110. And the reason why is we wouldn't use it until we really know. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
I
You're
just,
saying if the hire was 10,000 under the cap, right?
So-
Or are you saying 10,000 over?
more.
Oh, more, okay. that
More,
makes
yeah, yeah. So we would just plan for that the additional funds would come out of non-lapsing to cover it. But we wouldn't make that move until we absolutely knew in the grand scheme of end of the year budget money, yeah, we have to do it. The 10,000's gotta come out of non-lapsing, cause we're gonna be like with 14 cents left in the budget. Then we would do it. If there's $40,000 in the budget, you don't take it on non-lapsing. You wait till May and June to make the decision, but the 120, that 120,000 that lives in the non-lapsing account, that number, we're gonna call it 110. Because we need to guarantee that the $10,000, you're not going back to the town for that.
So you're encumbering.
You don't even have to encumber
But
it. You
just-
just, like, I keep my notes and say, and so does Donna, like, we know that 120 is actually 110. We do that all the time.
What do we have, what's in our budget now for this position?
It's around 65, it might be 63. And single benefits or waiver. I think it's waiver.
Even though we're at minus 0.2%.
That's built in already.
So it's built in that 0.2%.
So it's 63 or 65 with no benefits. So the cap would be 63 or 60,
You're really looking at, with the waiver, you're
66.
you're not looking at a lot of money,
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's,
over and above the salary,
right.
yeah, it's not like if it were 65 and family benefits and you're talking about 90,000. That's a big range,
Right,
it's not that.
right, and that's the risk that I'm proposing, is that could be the case, and then we have to cover that 30 grand on it.
Correct.
But at least this way, we don't start the budget process in December, 30 grand in the hole already. So.
That's a good suggestion.
So you don't have to vote on that. All you need to do is understand that we'll have to watch the budget and whatever's above that number is what we'll have to cover.
Do we have to vote on agreeing to hire a third grade teacher?
No, it's in the budget.
It's in the budget. Oh, do we need to vote on?
I've just held it because I was waiting
Give
to
people
see
a chance to be
if
heard.
you wanted to change that. If you wanted to change that, you would vote on it, but
That's-
you've already.
You know what, that's not a bad idea, so I'll remake my motion that we don't fill the third grade position. I like Ann's idea.
I didn't hear what Ann's idea was.
Ann's idea was that I restate the motion, we vote on it anyway, so everybody feels they have a chance to weigh in.
If you
Wait a
don't
second.
want to hire a third grade teacher, this is your chance to
To
speak up.
Okay.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay, any last discussion? Okay, I think we're gonna do this one by one. So, a yes vote means we are not filling the third grade position, just so that you're aware. Tracy,
No.
Arthur,
Nick,
and I will be no, Ann,
No.
Jen,
No.
Sam,
No.
John.
no,
So it fails, and we're gonna go with.
hey, it's out there. I like the idea.
That's a good.
Yeah, that, and your idea's great too, Arthur, to, we know how where we're going to get that money from.
Are you on board with that? That's sits well with you all?
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, cool. So that's what, I don't know what that's, when we look at the financial statements or budgets going forward.
I'll
you just
tell you
point
first.
out where that is, so.
Yep.
that's a good-
Talk about both sides.
Yeah, that's a good.
Now, if the
Maybe we'll find somebody for 52 and they'll wait. They'll have 10,000 savings, you don't know.
Wonderful, brand new, ready to rock.
Now, if the fourth grade continues to grow,
They automatically go to the middle school model, 3 sections in middle school.
next year they go to that, and, but if they need an.
Because that's the middle
assistant
school
or
model.
anything, Okay.
Okay,
Only change, and if you went to a pre-K 8 building, one.
One way.
If you went to one building,
Yeah.
that's when you would change that.
okay, we are on item 9C, 24-25 student activity account.
You were actually on 25-26 budget adjustments.
Sorry,
It's okay.
we just adjusted a bunch of stuff in my head.
So this was, I already shared this with you. This is the final budget document. It's online. Donna and I talked through, again, what happens at the end of the year where some accounts have some money, some don't. What's the best way to cut the $25,000 that you were caught in the last round? Where should it come from? We just took it out of health insurance. So it was easier to do it thinking when we did it, that that would come back around with where people settled. We still don't know now if it is. You might have to transfer money to put back into health insurance and to zero it out, but that's where it came out of. So $25,000 is out of program 10. My apologies, I moved where my slide was. It is out of program 10, and it's ironic now that we're talking about this, but the 25 came right out of this line right here, medical insurance. It was $1,050,694. It's now $1,025,694. You should vote on that. That's where you want it. If you want to move it someplace else, then I gotta change this. You wanna vote and just approve it as is, that's where Donna and I took the $25,000 out of that medical insurance line.
Yeah, would it make more sense just to go to the entire budget?
Yes, that's what you're doing.
You made it seem like we were just approving that line.
That is just the change, the only
Right.
change from the last time you approved, so at this point, you're now approving. The approved. Town approved. Budget as presented.
Alright, so I'll move that we accept the 2025-2026 budget as approved July 8th, 2025.
Second.
Any last discussion? Great. All in favor of approving said budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Everyone,
Okay, I will keep cranking for you, how's that sound?
please.
24-25 student activity accounts. These are now in Tyler, which is our financial software, which is so much easier. So this is the center school activity account. We basically back this up each year. It's audited. This is the lines. It's way less. They have much fewer lines at center than they do hall. So you can see what was spent, what came in, what their ending balance is for assemblies. Typically, assembly money comes from PTA, donation memorials. There's a person that does the golf tournament and gives them a big fat check, and it has over the years, very nice. That is going to be used for whatever is for students. You have library book fairs bringing in money. The PTA donations for field trips. When they have to pay for a field trip, they need a line to put the money in for the permission. The parent signs off on it, sends their $20 check in, and it gets deposited into this line and then paid out of this line. You have closed out activities that's left over from prior years where we condensed. And then rainy day, they used to have soda machines and dress down jean day on Friday. Those are all pretty old. And then you have commissions, and that's like, hey, we use this vendor for pictures, they cut us a check, there's some money in there. Student activity accounts must be used for student activities. Student related. I can't send somebody to Hawaii because on a nice vacation, it doesn't work that way. So when we do assemblies, things like that, that's what's here. All right, and I'm just gonna jump right to HMS so you can see the difference. I'll get out of the way. This is the HMS one. Again, it's much longer because they have more items, and this is very typical for middle schools. You see that they have 24,000 in their account. High schools technically have over 100,000. So assemblies, the rainy day staff donations, the same. You see like the PJ day where we do the dress up and donate the money. It's got to come in and go out. Lunch donations, people in the community sometimes will donate stuff. The drama club, when they do, we have to, get the Lion King Junior license out of here. Grade East fundraisers, library, you get the gist. Each grade here has their own field trip line. Brianna keeps track at center for their own field trip line at center. You have donations from PTA for field trips. The Washington DC trip has $4,200 left in it. That was grant money that was specifically applied for that trip for students in financial need. It's not that we overcharged. I don't want people to think that. We did not do that. The grant money from our, I don't remember who's our professor, sorry, wherever there was a COVID grant, we put funds in. So if the student says, I can't afford to go, we work with them and we use these funds to help them go. Okay. The school store is straightforward. Yearbook sales, the Little League donation, when the Little League folded here in town for softball and baseball, they gave us their cash. It was like $8 grand at the time. We fixed the batting cage, we've repaired some fields. That's what those are for. So they all come out of this line. Umpires are paid out of student activities. Comes out of the Board of Ed budget. We need to write a check though. Game day. So things like that. Again, this is all audited. This already has been backed up for both center and hall. So they know what went in and what came out. Questions about either of those two things? Hopefully I can move through these. All right, I'll take that yawn, John, as a keep cranking. So perfect time. The 24-25 lunch fund, this is really just to show you our end of year where we're at. And the one I'm gonna highlight there is $121,818. That's what's in the fund balance for end of year for food services. Remember that number was like 275,000. It was really, really high. We did the full year free. We can't afford that anymore. We're at 121. That's after the dishwasher. It's already been paid for. So remember that number 121, because when I ask you tonight to lower breakfast prices, we have the money to do it. The bottom line in that whole picture, remember that this is a convoluted account. It takes forever. We're still waiting on reimbursements from June, maybe even May. It's slow, but we know how much money we have in this account, and it's healthy right now. Okay. Keep cranking.
Yep.
Okay, the next one.
Well, I have one random question.
Yes.
Last time we were talking about maybe jazzing up the marching band stuff. Should we take that out of this? They wanted to,
Yes.
didn't want to forget about that.
No. Something that we could, for sure. There's a t-shirt line in there too that we discussed.
You like that?
Yeah, it's very appropriate. Yeah. And I will write a note for Alicia for that one. Drumline. Marching band.
Which was
Good question.
specifically regarding the Memorial Day
Yep.
proceedings in town.
Yep, I got you. Student activity.
Sometimes it's hard to remember why.
Things came up.
Perfect.
There's always.
All right, this is the after school program grant. The 332 is showing left in the grant. It's actually not there. It's just we're waiting for an order to come in. It's gone. The more important line in this is what we have collected through the after school program from parents for fees. Over the course of the year, we brought in $33,000. If again, we don't get the grant again, we have $33,000, which will get us approximately 3 months worth of the program. Cost of staffing. And we would notify parents if we were closing, obviously, or we'd have to really increase the rate. And I just wanted to show you that the money's in the account.
Was that grant money, some of the reinstated money from the federal government?
It was not, it was already done. I found that out and our grant application is in and we're just waiting for a response. If we get our grant application in again, we'll keep our rates the same. And this money allows us to do some special things for kids that we really wrote into the grant, but couldn't afford because we quote unquote only got 90,000. 90,000 covered our staffing needs. This 33,000 could be, hey, let's bring in a special thing. Let's, do a special program. Let's do an assembly. Let's offer transportation certain days. Like we could figure those things out. But I wanted to show you that that money is there. If that grant comes through, I'm not gonna recommend changing the rates of 2, 4, and 10. 2, 4, and 10. $1 per day. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. I think you're on minutes. How did I do? All right, why do that for you?
Make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from July 8th, 2025, policy meeting minutes from July 24th, 2025, and our special meeting minutes from August 5th, 2025.
Second.
Any edits or comments? Okay, all in favor of approving these minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, we are on 10D, policy 2400, evaluation of the superintendent. This is the first read by the whole board.
Yep. So I think I sent this to all of you, correct?
Mhm.
And the yellow is the changes, and you can watch the policy committee discussion, I think we had a really good discussion. It's on YouTube, and I would say the balance of what we were trying to do is in the yellow, you can see it. I would say if you have questions in the meantime or tonight, you could email me or, I think Brianna and Arthur were the two that were there that day, so. That's all I got on that, unless you guys wanna add anything.
I just want to highlight that,
You want to put it back up?
no, it's fine, it's just kind of as a byproduct of us working on this policy, we ended up settling on the fact that the superintendent's evaluation is going to be a separate special meeting rather than tacking it on the back of a regular meeting. So,
Praise me.
that's nice byproduct of that, so.
Sounds good. Okay. What's happening with the HMS boiler?
All right, so this is your first reading on this, and, Ms. Sperry, you might be, requesting to this one. So I wanna let you know what's going on, so with the boiler, and, we have 2 boilers at HMS. They are fed from a new, quote unquote, new from 2018 oil tank. We have had numerous issues over, since the installation of the, oil tank, where we have made minor changes. We put in a tiger loop. Basically, the bottom line is we're getting air from the oil tank to the boilers, and it shuts down the boilers. It was only, we have a quote unquote new boiler and an old boiler. It was only shutting down the new boiler. It was not shutting down the old boiler. Now it's shutting down both. And they cannot run on a high fire, which when it's really cold out, we need them to run on high fire to heat the building. I can't tell you the number of professionals that I have dealt with and Steve has dealt with. EMCOR, the oil tank company, they have been through, we've had joint meetings, we've standing in that room, trying to problem solve. We've done numerous things. It continues to be an issue. We brought in a new vendor and said, here's our problem, here's been the solutions that have been tried, and they came back with a $60,000 solution. I almost fell off my chair. So, we are once again pulling the oil tank people, and EMCOR. If you would like to join us, I'd love to have that. We need to have a solution that is going to work. I have given the oil tank plans to these vendors now. What we were told was that the oil tank placement is a little bit longer than it was, and now what happens is, as it shuts off, air goes back And when it goes to start again, it sputters because there's too much air in the line. And it stops, it kicks off. It has been really frustrating. I think the installer of the oil tank has been frustrated. But we need to make sure we have heat in our buildings. We were continue to look for, you know, I will say inexpensive solutions. $60,000 is not an inexpensive solution. And if it's going to be that, if that's where it comes down to what we have to do. We need to do it and we need to do it quick and you'll have to go to town to ask for money and that would come out of the school repair money. So that means town meeting and approval to do that. So I'm just giving you a heads up. I potentially put this on for new business tonight, thinking I might just ask you for the money. And after talking to Steve, we're gonna try one more attempt to get this group of people together. And I'm not kidding, like there's 8 of us standing in the boiler room talking and answering questions and it's just really frustrating. It needs to be fixed.
When they put the new tank in, did they move the lines or was it just a new tank?
I would have to go back to the plans and look, I think it's new everything to the boiler.
When they put the new tank in, did they? Was it before or after the yearly PMs on the burner?
Don't know, I'd have to look.
Okay.
I think it was a summer job, so I would say it was before. Cause the PMs typically happen end of summer or start of the year.
Do they print out?
She's saying PMs meaning,
Preventative maintenance.
maintenance.
I was limited.
No preventative maintenance.
Did you know what it meant?
Do they print out the, do they use the testos on the burners and print out the thing and show you what like the stack temp was that?
Not me. I don't know what are you talking about on the PMs or are you talking
Yeah.
about the testing?
on
They have all sorts of numbers from when they tested when they installed the oil tank and they fired them. First they fired them, they didn't need high fire because it was summertime.
Yeah, isn't this a them problem?
Are the,
It's not clear. If they, and that's why we're still fighting with this. And it's been really frustrating because some of it is the only way to see it is to dig it.
what kind of boilers do you have? Smiths? Do
Now what?
you have Smith boilers?
Don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, so what day are you available?
Yeah. Going there.
Yeah, and that's like,
Okay.
and when they are talking and I'm just asking questions, well, and I'm just using common sense, like, if the air is not there and it's here. We're not talking about rocket science, like it's.
Who installed the Tiger Loop, M-Core?
Yes,
Okay.
but it may have been paid for by the folks that, did the oil tank.
Who, are you allowed to say who did the oil tank? Or you wanna tell me later?
I'll take it later.
Alright,
I mean, it's public knowledge, it was board approved. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I know that it's, yeah, it's a common company. The bottom line is I'm letting you know. It needs to be fixed. If it was the distance, if they follow the plans and the oil tank that went in, didn't work for the boiler. Somebody missed the boat on that. Does that make
that was a
sense?
plan and spec job, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you would think
Okay.
that if they knew the oil tank was going in, that it had to match the needs of the boiler and it was. If the run is too long, if it went from 40 feet to 60 feet, that wasn't gonna work. Which is why I'd love to have you in that conversation with me,
Okay.
so,
Can I just ask a quick question?
yes.
If the oil tank was put in 2018, you said this is 7 years later, why is this coming up now?
Because it was working with the Tiger Loop and something happened recently
Okay.
where now it's shutting down both. And Steve would come in and find both boilers now. And so now it's like, okay, we need to figure out the patches that inexpensive things that we put in place are no longer helping.
But that's basically saying there was a problem before and you patched it.
So what I understand is the problem is it's a common thing to have errant lines, which is why Tiger Loops exist. Right, and that's where it's like, you listen to the professionals, the N4, oh my gosh, the oil company's gonna, or the brand is gonna drive me crazy, but
Williams?
it wasn't Williams. Service station, That's.
So is it the original Tiger Loop from 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have a Tiger Loop on the old boiler, and now that's shutting down.
And these are full modulating boilers? You don't know. All right, I'll come back another day.
Yes, my old friend.
I'll come back. I'll come to school.
That's what,
Remember when we talked about the
I know.
facilities manager?
I'll come back.
Yes, which is why I'd love to have,
full modulate.
I'll check it.
I
You
need
can-
to answer that. Maybe.
they have gone back and forth in the conversations between MCOR, between service station,
Okay.
between these other vendors. We've had them in there to say, well, it can't be
I
that,
know I've heard that there's
so.
like this plastic, a Tiger Loop is basically, it's this thing that, there's a plastic piece inside of them that's known for going, so it's not surprising that if it's the original run from 7 years ago, that.
Did you look it up, John?
That's a simple solution. It's not.
It's not complex, it's just like a clear tube that you
Yeah.
can see the bubbles going through. and
Yeah.
It goes into a ball and the bubbles disappear, and then the,
Lifespan's 8 years roughly.
Yeah.
There you go. You need new Tiger
but
Loops.
it's
Well,
never,
that's-
there's
yeah,
never
yeah.
been one on the other one. Which
Sounds like it needs one.
I'm sure, we wanna make sure that if there's a bigger issue, I don't wanna spend $60,000 if they install something wrong.
How full are the tanks right now?
Doesn't matter, it's after fill, it doesn't matter when.
Doesn't matter
It's
when.
been all over the place. Good call.
Sounds like Samson.
That's why
Yeah.
Sam is
Or-
on the case.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh, look at it. Add it to my tab.
Yeah.
Free.
Appreciate it.
$3.99.
So we'll call it boiler issue, but it could be the oil tank issue. I don't, they're trying to figure out where the issue is. Oh, yeah, we spent $60,000.
Yeah. All right, food services breakfast rate.
All right,
And
in front of you.
we just talked about that for a second.
Did I put this in front of you?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let me tell you. Sorry, I'm just trying to. do this. Okay, so we consulted with the state about whether the paid lunch equity tool, which we're required to use to determine lunch prices, apply to breakfast. It does not. We don't have to use that same tool. So because of that, both Stephanie, food service director, and I are recommending that you modify your motion from last time to establish a lower breakfast rate. You have the money to do it. We've had free breakfast for a while. We're worried about the number of kids that are not gonna eat. We think, based upon, if you look at this, the number of breakfast sold for 24-25, 20,000 per center and 14,000 per hall. At $1.90, which is what you approved last time, would be 78,900. You'd only lose $8,000. It would cost you $8,000 in our estimation, based upon the number of free, reduced, and full pay students and the percentages that we have. We believe it would cost $8,000. Would we monitor it? Yes, absolutely. But we fully believe that there's money. Remember how frustrated we were when we couldn't use that money to pay for lunches? Well, guess what? You can use it for breakfast. So this is giving you that opportunity to do it. The $1.50, we're recommending $1.50, and I want to tell you why it's not lower than that. We don't want to really deplete this money too fast and then find out we have to do a big jump in breakfast. And it's gonna go from $1.25 to now $2.35 to be able to afford it, if that makes sense. And Stephanie is continuing to look at needs of kitchen equipment. Told you we replaced a stove, we just replaced a dishwasher. We're trying to stay on top of the equipment, and these funds can be used for that as well, what I just showed you. So, you know, my recommendation, our recommendation is to move to the $1.50 for breakfast prices. You do?
I move that we charge $1.50 for breakfast
Second.
and 25-26.
Second.
Discussion or final comment?
Is breakfast free or free and reduced or?
Oh, for free, it's totally free, yeah. And reduced is significantly less too.
Okay.
They pay 30 cents. Reduced pays 30 cents. And full price is full price, but we still get 40 cents back on them. We get a reimbursement on it.
Okay, all in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Everyone, unanimous pass. Thank you.
Well, that's.
Jeff does a lot of work for us with that kind of stuff. I really
Yeah.
appreciate everything that she does. Okay. Substitutes, we didn't even start yet. Okay, review substitute rate of pay.
So this, I'm just gonna keep this easy. I didn't give this to you because I think it should just stay the same.
Okay, yeah.
You did this in January 125. Last time you did it was when we had the increase in minimum wage. And I looked at what's in the region. We're in the ballpark. I would ask you to leave this alone. But you have that say. We budgeted based upon this number and the number of subs we expected to have.
Do we have any issues getting subs at these rates?
We have issues getting subs, but not because of the rates.
Okay.
Which is every district.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're comparable, like
Okay, so we don't need to do anything unless anybody wants.
unless you wanna change any of these, but right now a certified or retired teacher is 150 a day, bachelor's degree is 130, para is 115, and a nurse is 230.
But this can change mid-year.
If you want, if they change minimum wage again, you gotta look at it again. If you wanna change it mid-year because we're really struggling and everybody else has gone up some, you could look at it again. But I wanted to put it in front of you because we wanna put this ad out, now's the time.
Yeah.
Building our pool.
Do we have to have a paid substitute or can a person volunteer their time if they have the proper qualifications?
No, they can volunteer the time, but they're gonna be regularly they have to be fingerprinted and background checked.
What if it's one time? Don't they still? If you're gonna substitute for a first grade
You
class.
don't have to fingerprint if you're one time, especially if you're a parent. But when you come into the building, you get background checked with our scanners.
That way, yeah.
Mhm.
So we would like to invite everyone who's interested to substitute for a volunteer, as a volunteer. So you can experience our fantastic schools and we will not have to pay. Thank you so much.
We get the money.
That's like a win-win.
You get fun.
That sounds good.
It's actually 452.
That's a lovely invitation. Okay, perfect. We're keeping that as is. Sounds good. Okay, 11, old business. A, school building project discussion.
So I just have some updates on that. I don't know if you wanna have more than what you already had with Tammy. We joined NASDAQ. That will give us enrollment projections. They'll be here in October, November. We'll need them. The higher the enrollment projection, as you know, the better. I also put out an email to Dr. Peter Prouda regarding the cost of completing an update of the enrollment projection. I expect that would be around $1,500. You'd have to figure out where you were gonna fund that, but I have that information out. I did get Rusty's updated ed spec suggestion. I have not had a second to look at it yet. I will be sharing that with you because he very nicely said, here's what you had. Here's how we got to our number. That would be good for you to review prior to our conversation. And regarding that comparison and your review or discussion of the ed spec, I'm gonna ask, does August 27th work? I'm trying to look at calendars and the start of school and madness going on. And building up to the start of school is pretty busy.
So what are you specifically asking? A meeting?
I'm wondering if we can have a special meeting on August 27th. I did not look to see if there's other meetings that night, but August 27th to go through the prior ed spec, what's in it. To go through Rusty's ed spec and
August 27th is the meet and greet.
no, that's during the day.
Oh, that.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, how did I miss that during the day?
Okay.
This would be at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Okay, so.
That's 6:30.
We can do whatever, if you wanna do earlier, we can do earlier, if you want a 6 p.m. meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody going 6 p.m. once, twice? Okay, so I'm gonna say 6 p.m. on August 27th, I'll get an agenda for that, and I will send you what Rusty sent me, so you can review it.
Yeah.
And that'll be our ed spec evening?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Might open
Yeah.
time.
I agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were afraid of mine.
Thank you.
6 p.m.
Is there a different person we could have besides Prouda come do our enrollment
That's
projection?
what the NASDAQ is.
There,
There's not a lot of people demographers out there, there's not a lot of them. I can find out if anybody's used anybody different, but if you like Google a demographer in this area, it's proud.
right, so that's the person, but we're adding the NASDAQ to give us like additional information. Okay,
If one's higher than the other, they will take NASDAQ, they will take Proudest.
okay.
NASDAQ offered us half price entry for a year. And there's some other benefits that we get from it. There's actually a special ed audit I sent to Marcia. That's free that I said, Marcia, we can talk about this. I like the idea behind it. I don't know enough about it yet, but it was worth. I mean, we paid more than $700 for an audit and for special ed, and this is a good deal.
Would this help us to, if we were to look at that, early childhood?
No, I mean, based upon what Tammy's saying, is early childhood doesn't matter, pre-K doesn't matter, special ed doesn't matter. The only thing that I didn't hear was the space standard.
That's the only other thing.
That to me was, what I heard was your percentage is 79%, no matter what. If you got the space standard waiver to get additional square footage over the 60,000 square feet, you get that to apply your 79%, but you wouldn't get additional percentage.
Right.
Does that make sense? So, which is not typical, like typically if you get the space standard waiver, you get a higher percentage, but that's not what. I heard, which is okay, 79 is okay.
I just have a question, why do we need NASDAQ and Prouda?
Because if one's higher, you get it helps your reimbursement. We might not need Prouda, but Prouda would be faster potentially than NASDAQ. I might not have NASDAQ numbers until November.
Okay. I'm sorry if I missed it.
If he says it's gonna be $2,000 and you don't wanna spend $2,000, because it doesn't matter at this point in time, you don't need to do it. Especially, and here's the thing. I'm still processing what she shared tonight, because that was new information for me. If the enrollment projections don't matter. And you are still at 79%, why would we need an enrollment projection? They require it as part of the process. And typically, the higher your number, the better your reimbursement rate. But if it doesn't impact our reimbursement rate, who cares about the enrollment projection? Could we just use our last?
I was gonna say, use the one that from 2 years ago.
That's what they typically say. It is about space standard waiver. It is about that, but that's just to get the higher reimbursement rate. Well, it's not really to get a higher reimbursement rate. We're already at 79. We're just basically showing them that, looking for our number of students that we have, that this is the space we need. And Sam's question was spot on, Tammy. Like, that was exactly what we need to know.
Okay. Did you have a question?
He answered it with the,
Okay.
that I was gonna ask if we get two different numbers, do they take the higher number?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll see everybody Wednesday, 27, 6 p.m. here for a special meeting about the ed specs. Okay. 11B, policy review, second read about restorative practices, school climate, and school student discipline.
So real fast, the only thing I'm gonna say is remember that the one that is the committee still working on is 5115. It is gonna be inserted into here. So you're going from restorative practices to kind of general referrals to challenging behavior or bullying in 5116, and then student discipline, suspension, expulsion, 5117. These are model policies from Shipman. The only thing that you need to be aware of, the restorative one is straightforward. The one that you need to be aware of is the 5116. That if you're going to accept this, this, which I'm assuming you're gonna do, the climate, you're required to have this climate policy. That the bullying definition needs to be in 5117, which I've already inserted it for you if you approve 5116. If that makes sense. You have to have the most current piece, and that is, sorry, right there. So this other bullying stuff would come out, the stuff in the orange. I'm gonna make this bigger for you.
Thank you.
The stuff in the yellow would come out, the stuff in the orange is the current definition that is in the climate policy that you would be required to put into this, that's what Shipman says. So everything else would come out, like all of 32, A, B, C, all that extra stuff in cyberbullying would come out. And would be replaced with that orange definition, that's what they have.
Okay, I have a question about cyberbullying, but I see it in there, so.
Yeah, they put it into this part.
Okay, yeah.
You could have a cyberbullying piece separate,
No, I just want to
as
say,
long as it's aligned to this orange definition.
no, it's safe space and it's a pretty good definition. So it's nice. Keeping it cookie.
Okay, we're voting on this.
That's up to you. You have to have the climate one done with
Yeah.
start school.
So that sounds like a yes to me, unless anybody's got any hangups or questions. So,
These were long policies.
yeah.
These would replace the other policies that you have.
Alright, then I'll move that, we accept policy 5114, 5116, and 5117. As of. August 12th, 2025.
On second,
Any discussion? Okay, if you agree, please say aye. Aye. And we're still working on the 5115, right?
Correct.
That we talked about, it was in our last policy minutes. Okay, agenda item 12, present to speak. If you're still with us and you want to comment, question, or speak up, I'm just gonna raise your hand. Please say your name, your address, and you have 5 minutes to comment. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Carrie Greenville, Hunter School Road. One thing that I wanted to mention, it's obvious, it's PTA related as well. I wanted to share with you guys that PTA got discounted tickets for tomorrow night's Connecticut Sun versus Chicago Sky basketball game. It's at Mohegan Sun at 7 p.m. We've received upper bowl tickets for $30 and lower bowl tickets for $40. That includes all the fees and everything, so that's just the base rate. PTA receives $5 back per ticket sale. So if anyone's free tomorrow and would like to go see Powerhouse's Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Marina Mayberry play an amazing basketball game. The link to purchase the tickets is posted on our PTA Facebook page, as well as I sent to current PTA members via email. Also feel free to email us at wellingtonpta@gmail.com to receive the link as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Yes, yes.
Willington 97 Basket Road. Good evening. It was good to see Representative Nuccio here tonight. And I think her advice to you of public transparency and broad-based public support is very important. I strongly urge your board to consider moving in that direction. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else in the room or online? Okay, All right, thank you. Agenda item 13 is board comments. Would anybody have anything they want to say?
I do, I'll read and somebody else wants to speak.
I was just gonna say, I think we had some good dialogue tonight. I think we all came together and made some good decisions. So,
Amen, sister.
That's the goal.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. I think it's good to consider both sides of a lot of different things, and it's okay for people to change their mind about certain things once receiving new information. And I think that that's part of being on a board, and some people have maybe different ideas of how they think things are gonna work out, and it's good that we're having open conversations and we're able to express our ideas and suggestions and then be like, you know what, okay, this sounds like a good idea, and have use personal experience or use different examples of where we've seen things before. So I appreciate being able to have good thoughtful conversations, and I liked that we were able to take some parent or public perspectives into consideration for something important like that. I really appreciate that level of collaboration when it comes to how things directly affect our students. So I liked that.
Thanks, Sam, for that reminder.
You had such a resource.
And well, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, that's good. Right there. Anybody, no,
I have a couple of thank yous and welcomes. Thank you to Diana for her time here, and welcome to Jonathan, Kayla, and Jennifer. Welcome them to our staff this year, and thank them for being here.
Yep, I think everybody else felt that.
Okay, try to make it quick. I want to thank all the members of the community who held and attended council meetings over the many months, and the voters of Willington who voted for in up to 3 referendums so that we could pass an operating budget for the town and our schools. I would like to comment tonight on a great feeling of sadness that I have felt many times over the course of our budget referendum process. On numerous occasions, I heard comments at meetings and read social media posts that referred to Willington schools as failing. The word failing carries negative connotations and should never be used in relation to our young people and our hardworking teachers. I understand that Willington's SBAC state scores are not at the level that we wish they were. However, one set of scores should not define the achievement and success of our schools. We are still in the midst of implementing a curriculum that is only a few years old. It takes time and patience to see the changes in standardized test scores and achievement. In addition, our reading curriculum has only been used for 1 year. Each month over the past year, our student representatives have shared amazing stories about the wonderful things that students at Willington Public Schools are doing and achieving. Each year, about 20 graduating high school seniors are awarded scholarships from the Willington Scholarship Foundation for their achievements, which I would argue that the foundation for those achievements began being built in kindergarten at Center School and continued throughout their school years. Many former Willington students, sorry, my mouth's getting dry and along. Former Willington students have gone on to serve our local communities, country, and the world in so many different ways, working in the trades as mechanics, landscapers, electricians, builders, cosmetologists. Some are in the arts as musicians and actresses. Others work in academics at universities such as UConn, have become teachers at local schools as well as international schools. Some serve our country in the military, the Peace Corps, and as U.S. Forestry Rangers. The list can go on and on. As we look forward to this new school year, I want to say to the students of Willington that I see how hard you are working and the growth you are making in your learning. Administrators, faculty, and staff, I see the time and effort that you put into the countless hours of professional development and meetings to learn a new curriculum and implement it and give our students the best education they can have. I wish you the best this school year, and I can't wait to see and hear about the wonderful things you accomplished.
And a wonderful way to wrap it up. Thank you. All right, we are ready to adjourn at 10:44 with a motion. Move to adjourn.
second.
Favor.
Aye.
Night, we'll see everybody for a social meeting.